So, computer, in your time, please select our first player for the Ultimate Pool Last Man Standing with Outpatient Network for 2024. Who is it going to be? Callum Singleton! Down you come, Callum, you come. Yeah, stay on the right side of this, Philip. Carl, great to see you, mate. Probably not. You're probably not thinking the same thing here. That's the nightmare draw. But first up,
what you want me to pick now?
No. We draw your next opponent. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. But how are you feeling about being first up?
I'm alright. If I win 3, get on the seat. So someone's got to win 3 after that to knock me off it. So.
That's got to be the thinking. We'll see how it goes, Carl. Well, you get yourself comfy. You sit in your seat. We are going to find out who you will be playing. Computer, we're going to give you a bit of time to reset, and then please give us Callum Singleton's opponent in this first match of the Last Man Standing with Outpatient Network. Who is Singu going to play? Give me a bounty, he says. You've got yourself Joe Connelly, one of our qualifiers from Ultimate Pool Ireland. Didn't you come, Joe?
Joe Connelly, what a chance this is.
Yeah, and it's worth pointing out as well, we are playing 20-minute matches, races to 4 as well. So whilst we can say it's a good draw for Callum Singleton here because he's playing a qualifier, it's everybody in this tournament can beat everybody in this tournament in a race to 4.
Yeah, it's a very quick format, isn't it? And I mean, actually, that's ideal if you're a qualifier because maybe you're not expecting to win over a long distance against any of these boys, but really anybody in the 32 men could win a match here. It's a tough one as well for Joe because he's not going to have had any time out in the arena. There's 32 players here, so it's not like there was time for practicing out there beforehand. So new setup, new table.
I suspect though Joe would have come in as a qualifier that, you know, going off last year's kind of MO, most players kind of worked, especially Tom, worked his way up from the bottom up, and he's a qualifier. So I think Joe probably would have come here expecting to play pretty early in the day. If he missed his random, if he didn't get the random draw, he may have thought, I might be one of the early ones called out. So I suspect he was ready to play.
Definitely earned a bit of time off.
Yeah, last year, for those wondering, you got 1 match grace. Now you get potentially a ton of grace on it. We're back underway here, and Callum has a decent chance here on reds, but those 2 on the left-hand side need some attention.
Good start here, obviously crucial. Shorter races than last year, just playing a race to 4, 20-minute match clock. Can get away from you very quickly. In this format, the first frame is obviously important, but it's really the second frame that's the absolutely key one, because if you can open up a couple of frames lead. But the first one not on the board yet for Callum.
Big shot he took on there, but you can see why. If he makes the red, he wins the frame in his own mind because he's dealt with the hardest ball. He's on the next hardest ball, and you're pretty much out once that's done. So that's why he's gone for the double, and he's played it in a really clever way. He hasn't given away anything easy here.
No, when you've been out on the table, you just want an easy first chance, and this is far from that. Trying to play the safety, ideally trying to get the cue ball in behind the yellow on the cushion, but just tight to the bottom cushion's almost as good. Callum can obviously see the ball to the top right corner. He may have a gap along the line in the middle of the table to the one over the top left corner as well. Doesn't necessarily need to go for anything too adventurous at this point, whereas opponent's still got some balls tied up.
Well, rattle that one in. Now it's a chance to go and win the frame. They are there.
That was a good shot because it was a ball he needed to get. He was going to leave a pot on had he missed it. Now it's gone in. Great chance for the first frame. This ball goes to the left centre.
Ooh. The double wasn't as big a surprise. It wasn't an easy double. That one was a major surprise. Early nerves here from Callum Singleton.
And now much better chance for Joe. First open position at the table. Still got the 2 clusters at the bottom, but he's got 3 open balls at this end of the table to plan a route.
He can deal with them straight away. Could see the argument with maybe dealing with the other yellow in the top half of the table, then trying to get himself back to this angle, but equally I quite like just attacking it straight away. Yellow to the centre and into the 2 problem balls.
Be careful not to hit this too hard. If this throws wide, he could miss the 2 yellows. So it played at a controlled weight.
I think that's okay. It's not, I mean, he could have hoped for better, but equally, he's on the yellow to bottom right, and he can open up, well, he has opened up the one on the left-hand side. He has to deal with the bottom one before the top one. It's doable. Not ideal. Must have been playing on the bottom one there. Could go for the plant. Problem with the yellow at the top of the table, it doesn't really connect to anything but the plant again. Not easily anyway.
He's going to have to power this in if he wants good position. He needed to come out just a bit further so he had a clear path to the lower of the 2 yellows. You can't quite see the potting angle from there.
I think the way he played that, though, tells us he's comfortable with the plant. I think, otherwise, why would you get rid of the one at the top of the table first? You would have wanted to be on the bottom one and then the top one. So yeah, I think he's doesn't like the plant. So yeah, he was exactly as you said. He was trying to get on the bottom one and hasn't. He's fortunate if the yellows block the red to right centre. You surprised he's not taking the plant on there, considering the safety? Obviously, if he gets the snooker there, then you can argue it's a great shot, but if he doesn't, he's kind of given away a great chance.
Yeah, well, I think it's the fact that there wasn't an easy safety. I mean, obviously now, as it's been proved, he is back to the table. There's every chance Callum could have just cleared up from there, in which case Joe would have regretted not going for it. Still faced with pretty much the same equation, though. He's still got the problem of the 2 balls on the left side. They're an easier plant to play from where he is now, and of course with the ball hanging over the right centre, it doesn't matter terribly if he doesn't get position on the top ball.
Yeah, very good. And he was trying to play it in a clever way where he wasn't leaving the red over top left. He may have just covered it, but it would have been a fairly easy one cushion for Callum, but it's gone in and now the frame is there. Yeah,
that one good shot struggled in, but he'll be very relieved to see that down because the remaining ball's just hanging waiting for him. Suddenly looking a whole lot more confident. Didn't have to play that ball like that, was played perfect position onto the last yellow. Of course, the fact that a bit of time was taken up with the misses and the safety exchanges there means that the one frame more valuable. This is what Joe Connelly needed. When you're new out to this arena, just getting that first frame on the board, so valuable.
Yeah, and very good from Joe. But Callum, 3 chances. Obviously, the last one, we don't know how much room there was, but he did play the pot to the centre. And you have to say, 3 chances in the frame for Callum, and he's not taken any of them. And in these short races, because that's used up, what, 6.5 minutes or so, it's a lot of the match gone, and he's behind the 8 ball here. I think it's exciting for the viewers, but probably a little bit more daunting for the players.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great format for the viewers because it's basically an anything can happen format. Like, really, anybody can beat anybody. And of course, we've got more players this year, so a necessary change to get through all the games.
How about that? Balls flying in everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be happy with that break. Not the conventional way of doing it. Had a lot of topspin on the cue ball, powered through the pack after contact, which is the opposite of what a lot of people are trying to do. But made a good, solid contact. This is crucial now. He's scrapped that first frame. He had a chance that he didn't take in the second frame. He wants to start playing a more open, natural game if possible.
Just the 8 ball here, isn't it? Where's it going? Does it have a... Is there a room for him? He's having a good look. Does it go left centre? Does it go through the gap bottom right? Don't think so. Both counts.
Yeah, you've got to work back from that 8 ball. Had a few different options that he could have left as the last ball, but he's now pretty much committed to taking these 2 at the top of the table. So he has got an angle here if he needs to open up the 8 ball.
Be lovely if he can go bottom cushion into it. Yeah, that's what he's looking at. Doesn't really matter. I mean, catching the yellow full ball would be lovely, but even if he was to catch the red and yellow together, it would be fine. Don't miss it though. Looked like he put a trace aside on that and the natural would have worked.
Yeah, I don't know if it was unwanted side, but through a lot wider than he wanted. He's got a problem now because there's a narrow gap. He's got to miss the ball that's on the cushion nearest to the red if he's going to swing the white out. Just find that gap. That yellow always played big on the bottom cushion.
Could be a very significant shot coming up here in the context of this match. Not on this 8 ball.
Yeah, this is a big moment. If he'd have just nudged that yellow the way he played it, opened the 8 ball up, then could have cleared from the break, and he'd have been feeling very happy about life.
A couple of times we've seen Joe, I mean, obviously small sample size, we're only 2.5 frames in here. But when he's had an opportunity to go expansive and try and make something happen, he's kind of pulled back. The problem with playing safe in that situation is the chance of getting another go at this 8 ball is probably very slim. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't think there was too much aggression he could do there, but you thought he'd try and find something.
Yeah, I agree, because if he's expecting to get left any kind of open shot at the 8 ball, he could be waiting a long time, because Callum's got a lot of balls on the table. It gives him the tactical upper hand.
You can argue this is a better chance than previous, even though he's snookered, because you could have got that solid full ball or 3/4 ball that maybe would have got it going towards the right centre, but it should cost him the frame. And now that we're into the final 5, 15 seconds a shot. Callum won't rush his way through this, but it is 15 seconds a shot, and he'll have the next break.
Yeah, Callum's got to be very happy with the way the last couple of frames have gone. It hasn't been all of his own making. Relied on getting gifted quite a few chances already this match. Sometimes that's what you need though. First match of the day, just get this one out of the way from his perspective, get yourself into the tournament.
Yeah, I agree. Performances don't matter. Results are all that really care, or all that really count rather. I do think Callum's a player that he gets down on performances regardless of results. If you feel like he wants to play perfect ball all the time, you just can't.
No, I mean, especially this kind of match. I mean, if it's later, you know, Callum's the kind of guy, he might go for a big call out one of the bounties later on, and then it will be about performance. But this is a match he's just going to get through. To say, just going about this in a nice measured way, we'll be under the 3-minute mark. So there'll be time for one more frame, but probably the next one will be the last one. Wow, be happy that that white has just drifted far enough to the side that he can still pot this. There was a moment it looked like he was tracking down the table and could have ended up touching the 8 ball. A thin one, but not hard. So Callum Singleton needed multiple chances as he had throughout this match. Got to go though, can't take his time too much. Just needs to get these balls opened. He's got 4 pots still.
Bounce, needs a bounce. Oh, it's a touch short.
He's just got to get down and play this. Even if he has to play it cushion first and off the red, he's got to have a go at this. Time's running out.
Oh, he wouldn't have been on the yellow at the top anyway. That is going to hurt him. That is going to end the match. That is going to give victory in our very first game here at the Last Man Standing to Callum Singleton.
Okay, now, Cal, we have got yourself a choice, because you can go to the random draw if you want. I know you know how that feels. I know you'd put a lot of people out there on skates if you did. Or will you be calling out? What's your choice, first of all?
No, I'll go random draw.
Random draw. We're going for a random draw from Callum Singleton. Oh, wow.
I'll change my mind.
Can you change your mind?
Yeah.
This is your show, mate. What do you want to do?
I'll pick Decky then, because he's got a lot to say. He's got a lot to say.
Declan Brennan has talked himself into a match. He's been giving you chirp ever since you arrived today.
Ever since I've played the first game, he was smiling at me, laughing at me, so I thought I'll let him off. My original decision was random pick everyone. Just random pick. But he's been giving it some, so he's getting it.
Well, that is what the last man standing is all about. Decky, welcome back to the competition. I mean, you didn't pick up your cue until 6 o'clock Sunday last year, so I think you were probably due something like this, but you and that big mouth, mate, you've talked yourself into some trouble.
I'm here for a good weekend, not a long one, so if I win, I win. I don't. Better crack, you know.
Sounds like a plan. Well, in Callum's word, he's getting it. So let's find out if he is. It's the last man standing. It's Callum Singleton versus Declan Brennan, and it's next.
I think it's almost I wouldn't even say it's respect. It's almost you don't want to be mean, but you've got to forget about all that. This is a tournament to be won. You've got to, and why we love it is you've got to call out the player you think you're best suited to be. And well, you know, as much as we enjoyed the call out here of Declan Brennan, it absolutely wasn't the right thing to do in terms of, you know, his best chance to win the match. Don't get me wrong, he still can.
It's interesting. We saw last year the attitude of the players. Some feel the need to explain themselves, so they say, you know, I'm going to pick somebody that's got less experience, and that they don't want to see me. And others are just like, bang, I'm having that guy.
There wasn't much room there. He knows the two reds at the top are really awkward, and the red by the 8 ball and the red by the yellow at the bottom, so he got himself the colour set and then was sort of going to turn it over and hope for a better chance to come a little bit later on. It's an attempted loss of turn that's not quite worked, but the second part of the shot has worked. He has just nudged the red open at the bottom left.
So many times out in this match table we've seen clearance after clearance from the break, and the ball's usually split pretty well. So far this morning no one's been in a great deal of danger of clearing up in one visit. Connelly came the closest, ultimately fell short. This looks like another scrappy frame.
Yeah, the ball's just not opening up yet. That's a really good point.
I mean, in a way it's kind of what you want, because it's going to make for a lot of buzzer beater drama at the end of these matches. It looks like time's going to play a heavy factor throughout the day.
Oh, that couldn't come out better for Declan. He's opened up both in one shot, stayed on both. He's got one problem left to solve at the bottom of the table with 8 ball and a red, but the red to bottom left is a really good ball to do it with.
Yeah, that's a thing of beauty. You go into it at that angle, it's always going to get a kind of double kiss. You're not quite sure where everything's going to go, and they just both fanned out towards opposite corners.
Does he try and get down the table now and play the breakout, or is it tighter at the bottom? Because the way he's just put his cue and planning things out, I wonder is it slightly tighter than I first gave it credit for, the red to bottom left to play the breakout off?
Yeah, if he's got the full pocket, that's a fairly routine shot for him, but if he's having to pot it into part of the pocket, he's going to have less flexibility on the angle. He's got a nice angle here though, he can control where he brings the white down the table. Wow, he's totally lost the white there.
I was surprised by Callum's poor in-off in the previous frame. I'm more shocked by this one. I mean, that is nowhere near where he was playing it.
Well, he just never got into it, did he? He was obviously playing for the ball along the bottom rail, but just didn't get anywhere near enough spin on it.
Yeah, that tells us that red can't go past the yellow to bottom right. I was assuming it did, but the way he played that, he had to be playing on that ball. But an opportunity for Callum to go one each, and both players will be kicking themselves.
This was the pattern of the first match. Callum lost the first frame that he might have expected to win, got given a chance in the second one. Must be feeling good. I mean, he's obviously the player with the most experience out there so far this morning. He's the most warmed up. Needs to get motoring though. Very intrigued to see what Callum's going to do if he does come through this match. It looked like he was thinking random draw, which would suggest he'd go random draw for a second time, but maybe he's just going to double down and go big the way he started.
I mean, I suspect, yeah. I mean, he said in his own words his plan was random draw all the way, so unless somebody catches his eye and gives him a little bit of something, then yeah, I would expect the same.
Well, that's the thing, and will any of the players do that for a bit of fun? I mean, that would be a moment.
Yeah, also it would be very fascinating to see what Declan Brennan would do. He could go very rogue, but I suspect he will go the right way for him, which is probably kind of the Tom Cousins MO, work from the bottom up. But if I was Ronan McCarthy, I'd be hiding.
I mean, that would be great, wouldn't it? If the day starts with a couple of those, I think you're going to see a lot more. Whereas if people start being sensible, then it sort of sets the tone for everyone else to do that.
If Declan Brennan wins this match and calls out Ronan McCarthy, that is the moment, isn't it? I mean, the first two matches would be ridiculous to have those two call-outs back to back. But of course, he's got to win this match first, and simple 8-ball here for Callum to go 1-1.
Yeah, he said at the beginning it's hard to call what's going to happen today. All of these matches you feel are going to be like this. I mean, nothing to choose anyway between these two players. But yeah, it's really hard to call, isn't it? Sometimes you get people sequence a few together. Wow.
Oh no.
Big break, but what a bad result that is.
And it's open. It's really open. This is all there for Callum Singleton. This is his opportunity to essentially take this away from Declan. It's not to win the match, but it's going to ruin the match clock and go 2 in front.
Yeah, I mean, this is a dream, isn't it, for Callum? Nice open chance. I mean, if he can win the frame, even better. But as you say, he just takes the time off. When you break like that, when you've got the cue ball going up in the air, you've just got to keep it in the centre of the table. You see a few people like Gareth Potts with that break where it bounces high, but normally lands back in the middle. Any angle on it, that can happen. Wow, it's going to be a disappointing morning's work for Declan if Callum does run these balls out. He's going to feel like he's barely been in this tournament.
Yeah, and he'll be regretting opening his mouth on the previous draw. Callum changing his mind to pick Declan after originally picking the random draw.
Stick from Ronan McCarthy if he loses. If he wins, Ronan might need to keep his mouth closed to avoid the same thing happening.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get some stick, that's for sure. Callum doing everything right here. This will be the first finish off the break in the day. Reverse clearance, and I'm a little bit surprised it's taken nearly 40 minutes of play for that to happen. I think that shows you kind of how the balls have split, but also how the players are feeling early on the day.
Yeah, it's a different kind of tournament. It's almost a bit more like a team event where you're playing single frame pool, and you just feel that a little bit more pressured than normally, because we see this format, of course, on a Monday evening for the Champions League, but then you're guaranteed 3 matches. This one could be your only match of the weekend. That's what we love, though. That pressure is just so hard to simulate. This environment just creates it for you.
It is 3-1 to Callum, who has called out Declan Brennan, and he's on the verge of eliminating him. The difference being, Neil lost to Tom Cousins, and as good a call out as it was for us to enjoy, it was ultimately the wrong thing to do, whereas Callum is going to get the victory here. I suppose the one saving grace, if you want to give Declan any hope, is at least he has the next break, so potential golden break, but how do you get out from here?
The sheer time as well. He's flicked the ball, but he's still got to keep going. He's got 2 problem balls and he's to smash into the one on the right off this one. Oh,
that will be that. Callum Singleton has called out and beaten the World Masters champion. He's knocked out his teammate.
You've got a choice now, Cal, because you are looking to sit in that lovely red seat there. So here's how it works. Your choices are limited now. You can't just call out anybody. If you're going to call somebody out, these are the fellas right here. Tom Cousins and Chris Melling. Their bounty brought to you by Beemore. Prasad's bounty for Jack Wheelen, and Omniotherapy's bounty for Phil Harrison. Or you can randomly draw it. What would you like to do, Cal?
Is there any of the 4 big boys want to come out?
That's not how it works. You've got to pick him. You can't volunteer.
He was given it all day, so and he got dealt with. So yeah, random draw. Go for it.
Random draw is the decision. So
I asked them, and I didn't want to.
Yeah, that is true. You did ask them, and they didn't fancy it. So we are going to go to the random draw. Stay right there. You're going to want to watch this. Computer, in your own time, let's find out who Cal will be playing to go safe and 3 in a row. Who is it going to be? Come on down. Scott Rutter.
I think we were wondering what Callum would do there after he'd made that big call to call out Declan on the second match. was he going to double down? Went for what was ultimately the sensible choice. And he's kind of been rewarded, really, because with no disrespect to Scott, some of the players that could have been in that random draw, all the bouncers and some other top pros, this probably is one of the easier draws he could have got. And a pretty big prize for Callum, because if he can just complete one more victory, he gets the seat in that hot seat and could be there for some time, guaranteed at least the next few matches off.
Yeah, something that the players have been saying as well before this started was, you know, how easy is it for someone to win 3 matches in a row, because obviously if Callum wins this, he'd go in the hot seat, and then like you said, he's going to stay there until someone else wins 3 games. But you know, I don't think it's as easy as it seems to win 3 in a row.
Well, not with this new format as well, because if you could have chosen all of your opponents, maybe in the early part of the going, top pro won a match, they could have pulled out a couple of qualifiers and felt they had a slight edge just in terms of experience in the match arena. But with the random draw last, you can't control who you're going to be playing. I mean, it's kind of the dream start if you do win. So you don't really want to be called out first. It wasn't ideal for Callum, but if he does now win those 3, he's going to feel warmed up, he's going to feel like he's part of the tournament. There's something weird about not playing. I mean, there was the thing last year, Declan had kind of the opposite of this year's experience. He got all the way through to day 2 without playing and came fourth having not won a match, I think, in the end. But normally in a tournament, you sort of, everybody has a first round and you just kind of feel like you're part of it.
Yeah, it's hard to explain, really. It's just a different tournament to anything else, you know. I think the hardest thing is not knowing when you're going to play, and you can't really get yourself ready. You know, every time someone wins and then they do the draw again, you know, you sort of, the adrenaline gets going as well. So if you do get picked and you go out there, you're not really feeling relaxed and how you should be, you know, because you're not prepared for the game.
No, it's a weird atmosphere because everyone's obviously crowding around the table. It's going to be a break in play this afternoon, but otherwise it's not like anybody can afford to stray too far away in case they get called out again.
If you get drawn out a little bit later into the comp, you might try to get into the prize money. And earlier on, you know, even if you win your 3 games, you're not guaranteed to get, you know, to that sort of the end of the tournament. So all depends when I get drawn out, really.
If you're hoping to avoid the random draw, because you're probably sitting in that group of top pros that aren't the bouncers, that aren't the most obvious ones to call out if people are picking a name. So it's the random draw is your most likely chance to end up out on the table.
Yeah, and I think it's a good rule change this year that, you know, there's going to be a lot more random draws, whereas last year people, pretty much every match it was just someone being picked, so I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, it adds to the entertainment value and it also keeps the field a bit more balanced. Last year there was a bit of an element of people sort of working their way up from the bottom of the rankings list, which is an understandable way of doing it. Chance this for Scott to get to the table. Not a bad position. Ideally like to just screw past that yellow, if you can tap the ball down the left-hand rail first to get it out of the way. Still in pretty good shape.
Probably the 2 yellows furthest down the table will have to be his last 2 balls now, so he'll take this one and then the one near the 8 ball. I'm not sure if he tried to get on the one on the rail then, but wasn't easy from there.
It's difficult, of course, for the players that aren't used to this match arena. This table does play a bit different. It takes a shot or 2, sometimes a lot more than that to get the pace. Just have done with catching the red there, would have held position. Still see the ball at the top of the table.
Yeah, there's a couple of options. He could also double the yellow into the corner pocket as well, because I think it's pretty much a bang-on double, and he would get on the last yellow pretty easy.
Yeah, just hasn't quite come back far enough. Good double. He's after a bit of trouble here. Quite see the potting angle. Whether he can get close enough that he can just bend it, or he's going to have to come off the cushion. Oh, this is awkward. He's going to try and make it in the opposite corner. The wrong ball though. Callum Singleton, just the one problem at the top of the table, which he can get straight after now. Considering whether he could play that as a plant, I mean, you'd probably want to play some element of safety if you did that. He's decided to go the more conservative route, hang on to the lead that he's got.
Yeah, I'd imagine the plant wasn't on there, because I think if there was any way of possibly getting it, he'd have still played it and probably screwed the white up the table and got the snooker anyway, so probably the plant wasn't on.
That's the advantage of having a two-frame lead. You feel like you can get involved in a safety game because you're not really bothered about the clock running down. Well, 2 attempts to get out of snookers. He's missed both times. And this time, this is exactly what Callum wanted. Split out the 2 difficult balls, knew that if he came back to the table, they'd all be waiting for him. What do you feel about the format this year? In terms of the match time, it's obviously quite a quick-fire format, these 20-minute races to 4.
They are. It's going to be a lot tougher this year, you know, especially to try and win 3 in a row with it being first to 4s. But I think it's a much better format for people to watch, because the matches are a lot quicker. You know, I think the first to 6s were probably a little bit too long for sort of the entertainment. But so yeah, I think it's a nice change.
Yeah, from a viewer's perspective, it just keeps it all moving along. Lots happening. You'll see 31 or 32 matches over the weekend. But 32 players, so it's going to take a minimum of 31. But there's also the wild card of the hitmen can get given a second life depending on how things play out. You could see a 30-second match be required. Going to be playing 16 matches today and then come back tomorrow to finish the tournament off. Right now, Callum has already broken the back of this match. Just as 8 ball separates him from 3 of the 4 frames he needs. Looking a lot more relaxed now, isn't he? At the beginning it was a bit scrappy, but this match he's really come out firing.
Time for a random draw. Now, all the players are available for this one, apart from Callum, who is safe until someone else wins 3 in a row, remember. In the meantime, 2 players are needed in this arena for our next match, so let's have them. Computer, please give us player number 1 for our next match. Come on down. Eddie Barker, in comes the Batman. The bat signal has been unleashed. Hello, mate.
Stevie?
Hello, Chief. Another early draw for you. I remember this happened for you last year as well, but, you know, there's worse things at least.
Listen. The bat signal's out. I've answered the call. Whoever's going down, that is all.
I love you so much, mate. Take your seat, Batman. Goodness me, I was not expecting that. All right, next player, I think. Computer, in your own time. I've lost all composure here. Computer, in your own time. Let's find out Batman's opponent, shall we? Goodness me. Okay, the Batman will be playing Chris Melling. Our Beemore bounty is in play.
Let's be having you, Mr. Melling. Come on.
We all try and enjoy it as much as we can. It's not what we're normally used to, and that's just all we're having, a bit of fun, you know.
An event to really embrace the fun side of the game, get to see the personalities coming out as well, which is always great.
It was quite funny actually, because I was obviously walking here to do the commentary, and Chris looks up at me and smiles and says, "Doing a bit of commentary this weekend, Declan?" And he's straight in. So it goes on.
Yeah,
Yes, Chris, I'm doing a bit of commentary. I'll see you soon.
Yeah.
But that's good fun, you know.
Yeah, of course it is. Mentioning Chris being out there, obviously there's complete random draw because Callum Singleton has won 3. He's in the hot seat. He cannot play again until someone else wins 3, unless we get to the final 5 matches, or final 5 players, I should say. But we have a hitman out there for the first time. Chris Melling showing off already. Quite the cue ball, but gets the result off one cushion. And the reason I mentioned the hitman is if Eddie Barker was to win this match, we'll go to a random draw and Eddie could win the money on Chris's head.
It'd be interesting to see if Chris wins this match, who he picks.
Yeah.
He was slagging saying he's going to pick his mate Arfan.
I think that would be fantastic. That would be right in line for the way today's gone so far.
Yeah. To be honest with you, Callum could be sitting there all day. It's going to be difficult to win 3 matches in a row, first to 4s. You know, it's just such a tough format, really.
Also, let me ask you, because obviously you had to go through that process, and to me it's a benefit, and we'll just see Chris. I'll come back to this point as Chris looks like he's just going to go through this pretty quickly here. I mean, he's not going to fail from here, so it'll be 1-0 to Chris Melling. But this match is 2 players that are out there for the first time, so they're both starting cold, if you like. The fact that you played against Callum, and Callum had that match already, he's already warmed up, he's already in stroke, he's already got the feel for the table, that has to be a benefit.
Yeah, that definitely is. You know, I
can't wait to see how it concludes. Craig Waddingham, of course, defending champion. He's already eliminated this year.
Nice break from Chris. This is going to be another pretty quick finish, I'd imagine. He could take the red long, but he's got to play the plan first.
Well, that's gone wrong.
I thought he could have took the red that he was closest to into the top right corner past the yellow. Don't know if he even looked at it, and he seems to be playing quick, so he's just probably seeing whatever he sees first and get on with it.
He's a little fortunate that the red that he was trying to make has gone, or the red he was playing rather, has gone pretty awkward, so he now needs to get, or Eddie now needs to get in amongst it. But
well, Eddie's just landed perfect, just to this red nearest the middle. He can just knock it in, bump the yellow out of the way, and the red's perfectly fine. So as long as he just doesn't touch the red, that's the key. Yeah, it's nice. I would like to see Eddie play a wee bit firmer than that, because ideally he would have loved to have got rid of this red now, but he hasn't really got a great angle. He might have to just sort of screw into the yellow and try and get the cue ball out and tap it.
This is the shot that can go wrong.
Cue ball to the trap here. Yeah.
Gets it to go.
I think I would have played that with a screw rather than.
You feel like it's going to, if you kept that yellow full enough, it'd just come back to the middle of the table.
Yeah, I think that's exactly where it would. The tap is just going to trap. Just hoping to miss the yellows around the angles. Looks to me like he's going to clip the yellow on the ball cushion from that angle. Okay. Wow, he's just
fabulous. Oh, and that flick's even better.
He missed everything. It's brilliant.
Yeah. The flick just means he's on the top one, not the bottom one, which is to his advantage.
He needs to take the outside one first. Yeah. Natural angle, come back across. Just wants to leave this red quite straight for his last ball. Just done across for the 8 ball into the left middle. Interesting to see, like it is quite warm in that arena. You know, obviously we're coming into that time of year. We're in May now, and so many people in that room as well. It was very sticky, you know. Obviously myself and Eddie wore the glove. Even I found the glove a little bit sticky there, believe it or not.
Could be a factor. Certainly could be a factor, especially as we're going into that summer season with so much going on over the course of the next 6 weeks or so. Were you surprised that Callum was going to go to the random draw?
No, it's just whatever people think, you know. I know Callum's such a nice lad, you know. That's just the sort of Callum.
It's almost that feeling if you don't want to pick one of the qualifiers or whatever, because you're almost feeling like you're saying, I think you're the worst player, or I'm more likely to beat you, and that's a horrible feeling.
Yeah, no, Callum's such a nice fella. He just says, "Oh, we'll do the random generator." You know? And
Yeah.
I open my mouth and says, "Bottle job." But we were having a laugh the whole match. You know, when he's playing Joe. And,
Yeah.
you know, I don't mind. It's a bit of fun.
Yeah, it was good. It was a very, very good moment. I know it's not gone your way, but it was brilliant. Well, it feels like, especially with that cannon, that Eddie Barker has missed his opportunity to win the Be More bounty. Chris Melling as a hitman.
I remember Tom last year. Like Tom just, he was just literally picking who's like the lowest ranked player.
I don't know if you remember, but the graphic was going up on screen and it was in ranking order, and he was literally going so that the graphic got changed so that he couldn't tell who was the lowest ranked player. He almost was forced to kind of go with gut feel.
That's
quite right.
For me, that's
that's
what you do. You know, you want to try and make it as easy as you can. I think I would have picked the bounty if I had got to the last 3
rather than a random
match.
draw. Yeah.
I just think, you know, first to 4 and you're 2 matches deep. And
best time to play him.
Yeah. And plus, like, your chance of winning 500 or whatever, you know.
And also you're here to win the tournament, like so you want to get these guys out.
Like you could use your random generator and pull out John McAllister.
Yeah.
You're playing him.
Yeah, so you might as well play. You might as well play Chris or Tom. You
might
know,
as well pick Chris.
Yeah.
You know.
With you.
I'd be surprised. I think that's the way people should do it. To be honest, I know it is there's an extra life as well that the hitman can get, is it?
There is, but of course that's not going to be in play here with Chris winning. Yeah, we'll run through it. Chris is going to have to make a decision very shortly. But yeah, if you beat a hitman as you would Chris here, you could win the Be More bounty that's on Chris's head.
He's doing that.
But we don't want to talk too much about this match because we have to get your next one on. And I have one question for you and one question only. Are you going to be drawing or are you picking one of these fine gentlemen out?
I'm going to pick one of them.
Okay, there's your list of players. You can re-familiarise yourself with your options. There's plenty of options there for you. Who would you like, Mr. Melling?
I'll go for Keithley's number 2.
Yes, Arfan Dad, come on! Oh, how long have you wanted to do that?
Oh, years.
Arfan, come on in. Oh.
I wasn't expecting that.
I'm guessing you were expecting that.
Yeah, you kind of insinuated it before, so I was half expecting it.
Well, now we finally get to settle the question. Who is the best of Keithley, Arfan Dad or Chris Melling? We're about to find out next in The Last Man Standing.
Winning the tournament by picking essentially the lowest rank player. I just stopped on my tracks, thought we might have a golden break to start, but it is an excellent break from Chris Melling. Last year we saw Tom essentially go from bottom up, worked his way through the field. This time round we're not seeing that. We've seen brilliance from Callum in terms of calling out Declan, Brennan, and now we've seen it straight away with Chris Melling here. This has got a different feel to it this year already. Yeah,
and the real winners are the lower ranked qualifiers who are probably thinking they'd be out first, of just sitting watching some great pool and have had no part in it.
Well, yeah, there's some of them. I mean, if I was one of those players, I'd be sat there going, well, I'd be hiding. I'd be sat out the way and going, do you know what, you guys, you have your fun. You guys carry on. I'll see you tomorrow.
Well, and it's got the feel that we could see a couple of surprise names tomorrow. It looks like a couple of people could slip under the radar.
Yeah, well, the one thing you got here with Chris is he's got Arfan Dad, who's been in great form. So as good as cool as it was from our perspective, he does have to deal with Arfan now. And obviously it's a double-edged sword because there'll be some banter flying around if he loses it as well. But perfect opportunity to get off to the ideal start here.
Yeah, I mean, I love the call. It's a big one from Chris because he's obviously one of the favourites to win the tournament and will want to get some silverware. So it's not the easy way to do it. Arfan Dad up to 13th in the provisional rankings. He's a good start to the year.
It's a quick start from Chris though, isn't it? And I've been saying this about a lot of the players that are on the edge of winning with Ultimate Pool. Arfan is absolutely part of that group. He's been so close to winning a title with Ultimate Pool, and this is a great opportunity to make that breakthrough, this sort of tournament where it is fun, but it is still a very real tournament to win. But he does know that he is going to have to hit the ground running here because Chris is playing well.
Yeah, you wouldn't exactly say he's a player that slips under the radar, but he's one of those ones that perhaps gets higher up in the rankings than you're expecting. He just seems to go about his business, just wins a lot of stuff. And as you say, he's constantly knocking on the door of big results.
I just think he's a player that if you were, who do you think, you know, if we had as we have done before with Nick on ultimate Paul Extra. We talk about, you know, who we think is going to win the tournament. We never talk about Arfan, but he is in the quarterfinals almost every single tournament. Just he's there or thereabouts all the time, and he absolutely should be in the conversation for all the tournaments. Obviously yet to win one, but he's been close.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's well within the top 16 tells a story. Like, the standard at the top of the pro rankings is pretty insane right now. Yeah, and I mean, he's just always there. Any given day, you wouldn't be at all surprised if you heard he'd had a deep run. That's not something that raises any eyebrows.
Yeah, got a really good break as Arfan, and he had a really good break here, but not a good leave. And he's played a really clever choice of a couple of shots to get himself the colour set, which was dominant, and to then take an extra red off the table, basically making reds even worse. And he may not still go in one visit here, but he can do if he wants to, but he's certainly got the dominant colour set.
These two know each other very well, of course, hence the call. So know each other's games very well.
They're both from the same town, near Leeds. He has gone for it straight away, but 8-ball not opened up. Now this is slightly trickier.
This is a good chance, of course, for Arfan, because if he beats Chris, he gets the bounty, or at least he gets into that random draw to get the bounty. I suppose you could say that if he's not going to win, he gets his Saturday back. He gets it done quickly one way or the other.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a really good opportunity. If you've got to spin it in your own mind to be that opportunity, haven't you? This is a chance to win the Be More bounty that's on Chris's head as a hitman, and also you're one step through getting yourself to 3, and who knows from there. But you feel like a lot hinges on this frame. You saw previous match, Eddie Barker had an opportunity to make it 2-2, a really good opportunity to make it 2-2, and didn't take it. And that kind of was the match, really, because Chris, you know, Chris is going to play well, and he did. He made one mistake in the match, and it did cost him the frame, but he's just capable of such high level, sustained high level. Got to be on it to beat Chris Melling.
Yeah, he's got such a big break. You just know he's going to do a lot of his own work without you giving him chances. Arfan is definitely in that collection of players that's more than capable of turning up to that level. As you can see here. To draw the cue ball back ever so slightly. Good reply from Arfan. As you rightly say, this is an important frame. This format, only up 2-0 down, is very hard to get back from.
Was a moment of magic in that clearance. This shot here was, well, best shot of the day so far. Absolute brilliance from Chris Melling. That won him the frame, and it puts him 3-2 in front, and it looked like he was about to go 3-1 behind to Arfan Dad, and he has turned it around completely. Now he's 3-2 in front. Arfan has the break, desperate need of a clearance or winning this frame to get it back on terms, and that last roll is going to be very deflating for him because he has no shot after a very good break.
Such small margins, had such a good chance to go 3-1 up, and then as soon as you slip behind, stuff like this seems to start happening.
Yeah, and you feel like if he could have seen a red, you feel like reds are pretty good. The yellows was going to be awkward top left, but he has nothing. And the only saving grace he has, slightly, is that this match has gone along at such a good pace, as it so often does with Chris Melling, that there is time, but he's got to somehow stop Chris from having a chance off this. Well, has he stopped Chris from being able to pot a red rather than a yellow? Because that would help Arfan.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's got a direct shot. He can plant to the top left, although that's not easy where the balls are.
Well, he was lining up something there, so maybe he does have a route through to a red, but it doesn't look obvious.
You can normally tell just by the amount of time. He's so quick normally if there's a shot on. It's all about trying to get the reds here.
He's taken on the shot you suggested, and that was excellent. That was far from easy, but what it also did was the only awkward red on the table was the ball he used to play the plant with, and now he's on that to the left centre, and these reds are absolutely lovely. It is important that he leaves a good angle to get onto the 8 ball. And that's why he's forced that. You may be looking at that thinking, well, he could have just played that and tracked through, but he wanted to open up that red to left centre to be his connection to the 8 ball.
It's the thing that can be the difference. Like, a lot of players are good in the easier positions, but it's just playing that extra shot, which he didn't need to at this point, but just to make it easier later on. Not just the vision for the shot in front of you, it's seeing the whole clearance.
Touch short though on that one. Had to use the red, and now he's got too much angle and he's hampered queuing. If he comes down the table an extra 3-4 rolls on the previous shot, he doesn't have to play the cannon, and it's simple. Now he's in trouble.
Yeah, this is horrible. If he's straight on this, it's such an easy shot, but he's going to have to find a very unnatural path, which he hasn't found. I don't think he has. So he just left a gap.
He's eyeing us up. Might have it to the centre pocket. No. Surely not. Oh, he did as well. He cannot believe that he's gone in off there. And, well, Arfan, you have a chance here for 3-3, and we're going to go to a decider if you can find this counter.
Really good spot for the counter, because the only difficult ball he can, well, he attempted to bump out. It's not bad, but was looking to knock it a bit further from the cushion.
Yeah, nearly ran out of time, didn't he?
Yeah, the shot clock, even for the experienced players, can catch up with you. One of these positions, it's not really anything difficult to do, but you can make it look difficult if you don't go the right order about it.
Has he got a touch too much angle in the centre here? This is not ideal. That was a much better shot than it looked. Really killed the cue ball well.
Yeah, had to get this angle. Didn't want to be drifting the wrong way. Again, able to just kill the ball in. He's not going to be able to get super close to the 8 ball, but as long as he leaves himself a straightish shot at it. He's normally quite receptive down the rails, played at pocket weight. Did you just give this a chance and play at pocket weight, or do you be more confident and cue it in? He's cued it in. It's just dropped.
Used it all. He wasn't sure when he hit it. It wasn't the cleanest, but it went in, and that's all that matters for Arfan Dad. Obviously, plenty of time for a clearance or a counter clearance. But 6 red's definitely in play as well. Well, Chris will be happy. He has a chance, and that's all you can ask for. Probably didn't hit these as well as previous breaks in the match that didn't have the same level of success, but that doesn't really matter in this point. You just want a chance, and he's got it.
Yeah, the advantage of being in first as well in this kind of situation, you can go for the clearance, and sometimes you can use up enough time that if you don't get the clearance, there isn't time for the other guy.
Is he straight enough to hold for the yellow by the 8 ball to bottom right? And that's the only ball that doesn't, well, it probably needs any kind of real attention. Yes, he can. In fact, he probably held a little bit too well. He'd love to have been the other side of the straight so he could get to the ones on the right-hand side.
Yeah, I don't think he thought he'd be able to hold it as much as that. Should still be okay, but it's not quite as natural a positional shot.
Yeah, you can. That was a great camera angle to see. Just the other side of the straight angle would be perfect. Accepting what he's got. Just nudge the 8 ball, and he's still on the yellow. Still in good position.
He's taken these quite quickly, so there is still time for the counter clearance. Right now, that doesn't look like it's going to be a factor.
Cool, used it all. I'm surprised he didn't top through and go underneath the yellow to right centre, because now he's got a real shot to play. Having a good laugh with each other because of the 8 ball that Arfan made and the ball that Chris has just made.
Well, he had a shot to play, but he's played it in a pretty effortless way.
It is Chris Melling that gets the victory. First match we've seen go all the way to a deciding frame. It is Chris that has got the victory though, and he has knocked out Arfan Dad. Arfan's missed his opportunity to try and get his hands on the Be More bounty.
You've got a choice now, Mr. Melling, because you've won 2, which means your choices are limited. You can either go to the random draw, or you can pick out a fellow ultimate pool last man standing bounty. Who would you? What would you like to do? Who do you want to play?
I'd like to play Lee Kendall. Just a random one.
Random draw, okay, it's decided. It's going to be a random draw, so we're going to let you look at this screen here, Chris, to find out your opponent as everybody nervously looks on. Chris Melling, 1 game away, of course, from the hot seat. Who is it going to be? Oh, it's Jack Wheelen! Wowee, it's Bouncy v Bouncy. Come here, Chris.
Chris Melling here. He's trying to get himself onto a hot seat. One thing to point out here is that obviously they both have bounties on their head. Chris has the Be More bounty as a hitman, and Jack has the Prasad bounty on his head. That players can't win it here. But what will happen is if Chris beats Jack or Jack beats Chris, that bounty would go on to their head. So they'd almost have like a double prize for anyone else that was to beat them. So that's not the initial benefit for them straight away.
No, which kind of shows how bad a draw that is for both of them, really. You could see Jack's reaction. He didn't want to be out in the arena and felt that the only way he was coming out was through that kind of random draw. Chris, I mean, he pulled Arfan out, so he's obviously not afraid of the big match, but this isn't really the one he wanted. Yeah,
I could think of about 25 other players he would rather play than Jack Wheelen, in all honesty. If he had the choice to pick, there's not a chance he would have picked out Jack. And you have to say, from a player that's just won 2, he's done, he's had some fun in games, he's come up with a really big call playing Arfan. He probably deserved a better draw than this, but you got what you got, and you just got to get on with it.
And that double bounty is, of course, going to be a factor, because whoever wins this, they're going to be the one you're going to pick out next, because any of them are going to be difficult draws, so you may as well play the one with 1,000 on their heads than 500. Jack's at a slight disadvantage, of course, because he's coming into this cold. The person that's going to be rooting most for Jack is Callum Singleton, who's currently got the front row seat and is rather keen to keep it in the hot chair. Jack just looking at whether he's come too far. You see the one on the left cushion. Can you get to the potting angle? I just have to put a trace of side on. Yeah, able to just make the right angle. These are short races at the best of times, but for players of this quality, when they're likely to get a few off their own breaks, very, very short a race to 4. Chris said that at the beginning, it's going to be all about who gets balls off the break.
Yeah, Jack has a break that's the envy of most. It's a fabulous break, huge power, and as many have, but the control he has with it is what separates it from so many. Normally very consistent. These two did play fairly recently, played in the semi-finals up in Blackpool for the last Pro Series, and fairly comfortable victory for Jack Wheelen, who was flying at that point. I think he's really, obviously he's made the change, he's now a full-time player, and I think he's really I think it's taken him a little bit of time to find his feet with the nature of having to switch games and codes and whatever else, but I think he's really now reached that point where he's a threat every tournament he turns up to, because he is putting so much time in. He was already one of the best players in the world, and I think he's I said this many times before when he's been playing recently, he's one of those players that you feel like could step up and rival Tom at the top of the game.
Support a family playing the game, you've got to go looking for the wins where they are and do the right things. It's good prize money at stake here if you can stay in this tournament.
Fabulous break from Chris. Does play that. He's the only player in the game currently playing with that sort of break. Sometimes it will come back and park, and sometimes he gets that touch more and it's topspin, but he plays with it even just to park it. He's playing with topspin. It's amazing the way he does it.
Yeah, he got a good cannon there as well. Just stop the white dead in the middle of the table. Key frame this, obviously. Can't afford to go 3-0 behind. Hasn't done a lot so far in this match. Hasn't had a chance to do a lot so far. Certainly not afraid to play with a lot of side. We saw him play a crazy shot in the previous match, loading up with check side.
Yeah, he's just come a little bit too far down the table, so resetting, but no problems to do that.
Landed about as well as he could on the ball down the left-hand side. Just needs to get the cue ball back into open play. As he so often does. In no time at all, just races through the finish.
Oh, wow.
What is that?
That's incredible what's happened there. I mean, it's the easiest ball I've ever seen Chris miss. Is it a kick? Does it roll off? It's always on the jaw. Always on the draw. It was one of those that you're slow rolling across the top of the triangle area, so sometimes you do see them take a little deviation, but that looked certainly on replay to just always be on the low draw, and just a very jarring miss from Chris Melling.
Yeah, it just looked a bit casual, didn't it? I think he thought he'd done all the hard work there. He played some difficult shots earlier on in the frame. Felt like he just had to pretty much stop that, leave the cue ball for the straight 8 ball.
Well, Jack's played a very poor first shot, and now he's under pressure to pull out a big shot. I was about to say sort of clever that he wasn't. If the yellow wasn't hanging over the centre pocket, I think he pulls that back and gets the cue ball in the top half of the table. But because of it wasn't the easiest to pot, I think he was trying to keep it low of the yellow on purpose. But he is on this one to the centre, so it's okay. I was about to say he's not on anything, but he was on that one, so he was fine. It was exactly where he was trying to put it.
Yeah, it was a good shot to nothing, because even though that yellow's in open play, it didn't go from where the white was. And this is a chance that you can't possibly have thought he was going to get. Great chance to go 3-0 up.
Another slightly loose one from Jack. Absolutely did not want to be anywhere near straight on this one.
Suddenly turned this from an unmissable shot into one that he's actually got to play properly. No problem though. Well, gave himself a bit to do there, but there was a chance he should never have had at the table. Important break, obviously. Got to win all 3 of the remaining frames.
Brilliant. Hit that one really, really well. Deserves a good chance off it. Does he have an opener on reds? He's got yellows, and yellows are fine, so no real problems here.
Yeah, that's exactly what you were saying earlier on. Just parks the cue ball in the middle of the table, which obviously means he's more likely to be on the next shot.
Well, yellow he's just gone by. I think it slides into the right centre, so it's fine. Yeah, you can see there on the overhead it does just slide in. It may not be the full pocket, but enough for Chris. 2 together at the top of the table. I don't know if he wanted to land on one of those there. He never really had that line. They're the 2 that are probably most awkward to get to. Kind of put himself a little bit in no man's land with that first shot. That's kind of why I talked about it. And that's gone possibly just a roll too far. Yeah, it looks like he's going to have to screw back on and off the cushion with reverse side. Absolutely plumb.
Well, we've already had a highlights reel of shots played by Melling with side so far today. It's always the way he plays though, isn't it? Slips out of position, plays a brilliant shot to get back in, out of position again.
Does need a good cue ball here on this shot, so he can get onto the 8 ball. Doesn't go to its natural bottom right from this yellow. It just floats it in like it's nothing. A little short, but similar to the last one. No issues with it. So back to back for Chris.
Time not a factor, he's just got to make a ball.
And he hasn't. Wow, how has this match turned around? Chris Melling has an opportunity here to run the match, essentially.
Yeah, he's only got one difficult ball, but even that isn't really as difficult as it looks at first glance, because the one above the right centre, there's a big pocket if he wants to play it direct, or he can play it as a double.
He's on nothing. It's a poor one.
I mean, that's not where you'd have expected the mistake to come from in this frame, is it? He's played a very loose positional shot. Can't get to the potting angle of this to clip it into the middle, and the double looks like it's obstructed by the other red, so he's got himself into all kinds of trouble here. Can he just find... Oh, that's an incredible shot. There was so little margin for error there.
Needs another good shot, though. He's not out of the woods yet. And he still needs another good shot. Like 3 really good shots on the trot to recover the poor positional shot. And he's not back in perfect position still.
And all of this with the pressure that any miss could be his last. And finally, he's in close to good position after a few shots chasing the cue ball around the table. Not able to get perfectly on the 8 ball, but this kind of shot completely routine to him.
Oh, 3 straight off the break. 2 reverse, 1 break. Chris Melling will have the break in this decider. Absolutely fabulous. Jack will still fear the worst. Oh, Chris, what a touch he's just had. Huge touch of fortune. Match was over in his mind, in Jack's mind, if he got sight at yellow here. All of a sudden, oh, this is a deciding frame.
This is the drama you want, isn't it, from a decider? Oh, yellow off black into the pocket. Everything's happening here. So, looks like it's going to be Jack that has the first chance. He's got to flick the 8 ball back out, but that shouldn't be a problem.
Well, they're all invested in this one. I suspect so is Callum Singleton, who obviously has the very real requirement of Jack Wheelen winning this match so that he stays on the hot seat, stays unable to be picked or drawn. And this is wide open now for Jack to go and win the match.
Well, this match has certainly lived up to expectations. 2 of the best players in the world, 2 of our bounties got picked out to face each other early on.
And it's going to be a very special shot from Jack Wheelen that's going to win it. That shot, he was essentially on nothing there and had a couple of seconds to come up with a brilliant shot to get himself in. And well, once he's made his first shot, you kind of expect him to make the clearance, such as the level he plays at, but you can't take it for granted. It still needs to be done, and he makes it look so easy and clinical.
This has been some performance by both players. Jack looked like he had it early on, but then had to deal with a big onslaught from Melling to get back into it. It is Jack Wheelen, though, that finds his way over the winning line.
You do have a decision to make, though, because you have beaten a hitman, which means, as you are a fellow hitman, we sadly can't give you that 500 quid, which I know isn't ideal, but you do choose where that goes next. That money from Be More is going either on your own head, you can double up your own bounty, or you can give it to someone else. What would you like to do?
Can I have a look at the player list first?
Yeah, let's get the player list up so you can have a think. Well, I'll follow you, Jack. Here we go.
Sorry, mate.
That's all right. What do
you think here?
No, this is your choice. I'm not going down with you.
I'll go with... I'll put it on someone's head.
Yeah.
If it was this time tomorrow, I'd take it myself.
Who are you picking?
I'd pick... It's not even in the rankings order.
Oh, no, that's...
Go on, Shane can have it.
Shane Thompson, you've got 500 quid on your head. And he looks absolutely ecstatic with that. Okay, so The next thing we have to do is we have to decide your next opponent, and that one you do have 2 options because it's your first one. You can either go to the random draw, or you can call someone out. What do you fancy?
I'll call somebody out.
Okay, well, come join me here, mate, and that's the one, mate. You have a look and let me know who you fancy.
I'll go with Rahat.
Rahat Manim, your time has come, mate. Down you come.
Either way, it's Rahat that gets us underway in this match.
Rahat gets the first chance. Really important. I know it's a short race, and I know it's it's tough when you're out there for the first time. You're playing someone that's just obviously showing he's playing world-class pool like he normally does. He's got to take these out here because this is such a good chance.
I think this guy is probably the biggest wild card in the draw because he's one of only a couple of people that aren't regular competitors on the Ultimate Pool circuit. The others are kind of known quantities. They may not be the top-ranked players, but there's some good qualifiers in there. I mean, this guy is actually, the first few shots we've played, or he's played, have looked pretty solid.
Yeah, you don't always see this from players out there for the first time. He looks comfortable. I know I'm going off body language and a couple of shots he's played, but he looks very comfortable in this environment, which isn't easy to do when you're doing it for the first time.
No, and I mean, as Jamo was saying to him out there, he probably expected to be out there sooner than he was. And which I think has probably done him a favour because he's got to watch a bit of pool. He probably feels like he's settled into it. I know he hasn't been playing, but just sort of being in the room, watching some of it happening. He's certainly cued these very well so far. Well, could Jack be ruining a second decision here? We're just talking about the placement of the bounty, but maybe his bigger problem is winning this match first.
Yeah, I don't think... maybe he felt like he might get an easy ride. I think he now knows he won't. He'll still absolutely pack his own ability to win this one, but he's going to have to do it.
Jack is on +1, not -1. Our graphic gone a little bit astray there.
I think the scorer's having a little bit of fun with Jack there, saying you're going to have to win a couple more frames, get back.
Turn it into a handicap tournament.
It's a handicap tournament all of a sudden. Excellent break from Rahat, who did break clear his opening break in this arena. Oh, he's given him the frames back. How disappointing.
So the scores are where we want it. So just a moment where that was clarified. The clock's just been paused. Now Rahat will come back to the table. Clearing off his own break is going to be important because Jack Wheelen isn't somebody that just gives you a bunch of chances in open play. Also needs to show that that first one was a regular occurrence. Like anybody can clear one off the break, but the question is, can the guy keep doing it?
Well, the answer is no. That was a tough opening shot that he was taking on there. And the challenge you have when you play someone at Jack's level is that, especially when you broke cleared the first one, Jack's responded. Okay, it wasn't clean because you needed a couple of... Well, Rahat had the first opportunity, but you got an opportunity there to make it 2-1, and if you don't, because Jack has the next break, you are thinking 3-1 on that mistake, not 2-1.
Now suddenly you look at the position of the Reds. Instead of being faced with a difficult opener, Jack had an easy opener, and now the balls are all waiting for him. Meanwhile, of course, Callum Singleton's still in the hot seat. He's very much enjoying the way things played out in terms of Jack beating Chris. But he's going to have another challenge, I suspect, to his throne, because Jack is still favourite for this match. And then he'll have to beat one, presumably randomly selected player in the third game.
Yeah, everyone's hoping it's not them. And Callum's hoping, he obviously knows it can't be him, but he's hoping it's one of the big players, not one of the qualifiers. He wants he wants every chance for Jack not to. I'd love to see Jack not win this one, in all honesty.
Yeah, we've got the mid-afternoon break coming up after one more match. So Callum will enjoy his dinner if he knows there's no chance of being on for at least another 3 games. It's tough, winning 3 in a row. You've really earned it if you do get your place in that chair.
Yeah, I really do like that change from last year's last man standing. I think the benefit for winning 3 is excellent.
I mean, it would be a great moment, wouldn't it? We saw that moment when Neil Roebone did it last year. I think it was a very different attitude, though. Neil was clearly here for a good time. Jack really does look pretty focused on the task of actually winning the tournament.
Yeah, and as we've mentioned, Jack's a full-time professional. It's how he, is how he makes his living, and it would be foolish to do that because you're jeopardising potential. He could cruise into, who knows what. We saw Declan make 4th without playing last year. He could be in the same boat if he was able to get through the next match. We might not see him again. But last year, Craig Waddingham played 3 matches around the same sort of time as Jack Wheelen is here. Didn't play again until the final. So the benefit for Jack is that you could get himself really nice and deep in the tournament, make some good prize money before he has to play again. So that's why he's not going to do it. But I tried.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other factor is he doesn't have to be the one that knocks Tom out. If it's a full massive tournament where he's got to beat Tom at some point, I think what you say is absolutely right. You want to catch him cold. The fact that there's so many other ways Tom can lose in a short race to somebody else, he kind of doesn't need to take the risk himself.
Well, hopefully, we're getting carried away because Rahat's at the table here and he's got another good chance, although he looks a touch straight. Needs to force an angle. I had a touch more than I thought, but it's actually not too bad. If the one on the cushion actually passes the other one, this is fine. If not, he's going to have to play the cannon. Looks like it would be a glancing blow on the yellow, which would be no good. So he needs the one on the cushion really to go. Oh, he got the full contact. That was lovely.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, although we've been talking a lot about Jack for obvious reasons, Rahat's turned up with a decent standard of play here.
Yeah, he's missed a couple of that tough one off his own breaks. Probably kind of stands out. And maybe he could have done more on Jack's first break, but yeah, he's certainly looked the part out there, hasn't he?
I feel like, without sounding patronising, you always kind of want the qualifiers to give a good account. They've obviously worked very hard to get to this point. The fact he cleared off his own break is sort of something to leave the day with, but it looks like he's got a chance to add to it.
How about this shot, though? He will feel like in his own mind, if you miss this, you're done. This is to stay in it. Off the 8 ball. Very nice. Lovely shot.
Yeah, it was only the fact the 8 ball was there that made that shot a realistic one to go for, really. It would, I think, have been a bit tough otherwise. Wow, what a good clearance. So, Jack Wheelen breaks off in frame 6. Almost goes without saying. Big, powerful break, because that's what we see every time.
Yeah, and a great chance to go and wrap this one up. I think the red right in the middle of the table goes top, clearly goes top left, and when you see the layout, you're thinking that's sort of the connection to the top half of the table. This just looks lovely. Really want to leave a good angle on your last ball just to get onto the 8 ball nicely. Although I was expecting him to come a bit further up the table here, but he's so short on this one, I suspect that he's played it this way around on purpose. It's sort of okay. It does go into right centre. For a second I thought he was going to stick on the red and be on nothing, but he's worked out. And absolute prime position now.
Oh, that's going to be fearing the worst now, because Jack's done a lot of the hard work already in this frame.
Got the sense that was his final hope, although he still needs a good angle on his last red to get nicely on the 8-ball, and he'll try and use a yellow to get that good angle, but if he slides off it and it lands 3-court ball the wrong way, all of a sudden it gets awkward. It lands plumb.
It's been a very professional performance this from Jack
Again,
Wheelen.
isn't it? Back-to-back performances. He did nothing wrong against Chris Melling either. It was very, very good. Hasn't really put a beat wrong in 2 matches. And he is 2 matches through. Needs 1 more to get himself into the hot seat.
Over here. It'll change for you, don't worry. So, Carl, the first question I've got for you, you're quite unfortunate in the way that your escapades with Jack turned out. The extra life was called in, which left... Yeah, still broke. So you've got a question to answer, and that question, first of all, is very simple. Will you be randomly drawing, or will you be calling out your opponent?
I'll be picking.
You'll be calling out. We'll bring up the list of players for you. Here is who is still in the tournament. Callum Singleton unable to be selected. So too is Jack Wheelen. He too cannot be selected.
I mean, they're all good players left, but just for the experience aspect, I'm going to go with an amateur. I'd like to play Zach, please.
Zach Cooper, come on down, sir.
They've both been waiting for, just trying to get the cue ball away from the tight positions they both keep playing into. Looks like Zach's going to try and return the cue ball to close to where it was. I mean, I know at the start of this they both were feeling they wanted to be yellows, but I mean it's getting to the stage when almost seems to have been an odd pattern of play they've got into.
I have a statistic for you. There is a 100% pot success rate out there right now. I think 1 ball's been potted, 2 balls have been potted because 1 was a loss of turn in 15 minutes of play.
Not a stat you would associate with a match where it's 1-0 after 15 minutes.
Yeah, and there's been 1 successful pot. There's been 1 ball potted. There we go. There's number 2. It took us over 15 minutes.
I mean, that ball has been possible for some time. Got to the stage where it's getting a bit silly. The other balls, of course, had also improved.
The layout here is very good. He just needs to deal with the one on the cushion, which a player of Carl's level shouldn't have been too difficult at all. He's tried to move it, but that's worked out well. Probably had tried to move it because he had too much angle to try and get on it. He knew he wanted to deal with it straight away and couldn't have come out any better.
Yeah, he's played that shot really well. That's the kind of shot you can easily double kiss and not really get the ball out. It's landed perfect just to run round a couple of rails back to the bottom of the table. Great chance here to go 2-0 up with under 5 minutes remaining. There's going to be time for 1 more frame after this, but unless there's a golden break, it's kind of hard to see a way back for Zach. I don't think he's going to have time to win 2 frames in normal play if Carl clears up. It's going to be an odd match if he does go on to lose it. Zach Cooper's had to put the hours in to get here. He came through a tough qualifying competition and waited around all day for this chance and barely had any shots in open play in this match.
Well, he hasn't attempted a pot, has he? In the whole match, which is, considering how much table time he's had, is quite amazing.
He's potted 1 8-ball, but that's a stat he could do without. Well, after the most cagey start imaginable to this frame, they both seem to take a long time to decide what they wanted to do. Finally, Carl decided to go for it, and this is his reward. Well, not the way we expected this match to play out, but I suppose it is the scoreline we were expecting. Carl Sutton gets the 2nd frame ahead now, numerous times. In purely financial terms, that 1 bounty is less good than winning the overall tournament, which he's well in contention for doing. So yeah, I mean, he's going to go random draw and just hope that he gets another of the lower ranked players. That's effectively the match over, because anything other than a golden duck was probably the match over, and certainly if Carl can just stay at the table for a while, whether or not he clears up or burn the time off.
Yeah, I guess the only hope that Zach has is he gets to the table with 40 seconds left in this frame, and then he's got the chance to clear and potentially have a golden break. So it's not absolutely certain, but not far off.
It would be somewhat ironic if he was to clear up in 40 seconds, given the pattern of the match so far.
Yeah.
This isn't quite one of those ones where he's wasting time, but it is one of those ones where it's not crucial to make the clearance. If he can either just pot a few balls or make things messy, either of those will be good enough.
He's got 3 more in the open, hasn't he? That's a good 40 seconds if he times it right. And he's in prime position. You see Craig Waddingham in the background. He made it into the final of this event last time we held it last year, having a bit of a yawn. Maybe he's not expecting to play today. Maybe if Carl wins this match, that's the most likely to see a Craig Waddingham today, is that the random draw.
Yeah, there's just not much logic for calling out one of those players that's just outside the top ranking positions but isn't a bounty. They're only really going to come into play through the random draw. We're going to see some random draws today though, because whichever results come through, and if Carl wins this one, it goes to a random draw. If he wins the next one, then he would be off and we'd have to get some more players on, so there are chances for everyone to get involved.
Okay, this is where Zach needs to chalk his cue and be ready. He is going to get, unless Carl comes up with a miracle shot here, he's going to get 25 seconds. He needs to clear and leave a second. Tall order. Yeah. And Carl just tries to tie up the 8-ball, which wasn't particularly well played, but it should be good enough. Under 20 seconds to go. Horrible layout. And he's pretty much given up the hope, really. One of those horrible matches for Zach Cooper, one that, I mean, he would have looked forward to this event for so long. And in truth, we didn't really get to see him involved in any sort of match, certainly on any terms that he would want to be involved in them.
Chance to go 3 in a row. So, big decision now is, are you going to be calling out a hitman at any point, or are we going to the random draw, Carl?
Well, I've already played a hitman and I've won no money, so I think we'll draw.
That seems like a fair enough assumption. Okay, so computer, when you are ready, let's find out Carl's next opponent. It could be anyone left in the draw. Here it is. Come on down. Shaun Storry!
The good high-ranked players that you don't really want to draw out.
I don't know. I mean, I'm looking at it. I know what you're saying, and I just think it could have been better. It could have been worse. I just think when you'd go into that random draw, and you've got Tom Cousins in there, you've got Phil Harrison in there, you've got Jack Wheelen in there, you've got John McAllister, Craig Waddingham. You've got guys that are going so well at the moment. Not that Shaun Storry's going badly, and yes, he's been the number 2. He's been a Pro Series champion. I just think, yeah, it could have been, it could have been worse, but equally, it could have been better as well.
Yeah, I mean, based purely on form, I guess that's fair. Based on heritage, Shaun's been right at the top of the game, but he's maybe not quite hit those heights lately. He's had some good performances, though. He won his group in the Champions League the other week. Looked pretty steady there, so some happy memories out in this arena.
Yeah, agreed. It's certainly a very tough match to call. If this was a Pro Series match, we'd be sort of going, how do you pick this one? It's a real, it's who gets the chances, who plays well, but you've got to throw into the mix that Carl Sutton's played 2 matches out there, will be warmed up, although didn't play too much actual open attacking pool in the last match, of course, but he's out there, he's comfortable, he's confident, but that's the advantage for Carl. The disadvantage is that the pressure's on him because he's one away from doing what no one else but Callum Singleton's been able to do today, and get away from the arena and get on the hot seat.
Yeah, I mean that's the trade-off, isn't it? For Carl, as the added pressure, because he's actually really got something to lose now. If he just wins this match, then that really is a good day's work for him. Shaun kind of less to lose, but obviously not warmed up, so he's starting from scratch. He's got to win 3 in a row if he wants to get through to tomorrow. I think the fact that Carl quite likes the style of play of the last one, it's not going to have knocked him out of his rhythm. Some players would just be really frustrated to get involved in that game. But you heard from Carl's interview, he enjoys a tactical game where one can be constructed.
Yeah, and there was some tongue-in-cheek in what he was saying regarding the rule set, and probably would have get a slap on the wrist from Lee Kendall, the CEO, about it. But Carl understands that this is the future of the game, but he also understands that he has a bigger advantage if we were still playing the world rules that we were with for, the past 30 years or so. So it's kind of one of those that he understands, but also he knows personally it's better the other way around for him.
Plus also, of course, like having a good tactical understanding and a good tactical game is useful in these rules. It's not as useful as it was, but we've seen over the last few years of Ultimate Pool, people have picked up some clever tactical nuances and are playing shots that maybe they weren't right at the beginning. Yeah,
and let's be honest, let's give Carl Sutton the credit that he came to the table early in that frame with a game plan to take what probably looked like slightly the worst colour set there in terms of they were both terrible, but yeah, I think that's a really good point actually, depending on it makes a difference where you are in the pecking order, if you like.
I mean, everyone's good players, but there's a couple of qualifiers, Jaden Billingham, Scott Yardley, we've seen nothing of so far. I mean, they played super well to qualify, so in a sense they're the ones that are coming in with the form, but still they'll be very happy not to have had a game so far.
That's very
a good
good
shot.
And it was a poor shot from Carl Sutton. He was trying to play the loss of turn and just got it all wrong. To leave Shaun this chance was poor from Carl's perspective, and it's taken a good shot there from Shaun to be clever to get onto this yellow as nicely as he has, but it's still very tough.
Oh,
Promise you.
What a great shot.
Tough. What a shot that is. That's fabulous from Shaun Storry.
Well, and the pace as well, because he can't afford to hit it too hard because it's so thin, the cue ball's tracking up and down the table, so had to take a bit of pace off. Oh, very, very good finish from Shaun.
It wouldn't shock me to see Carl sit there until the final 5 players are left, because that's when that hot seat then you no longer have the hot seat once we get to the final 5 players. I don't expect it to happen, but it wouldn't shock me either.
Well, especially as the talent pool gets a bit richer, once the lower ranked players are out, it's going to be less to choose between those remaining. So as you're saying, races to 4, winning 3 in a row is going to be a tough ask.
First glance, these yellows look pretty simple, but the cue ball, the yellow near the cue ball is awkward because your first shot's taking you away from it, but you've got the one to left centre to sort of get you back there. And of course he's going to do it all the way through on the beeps. You really couldn't hope for too much better.
Yeah, everything's just kind of fallen quite nicely for Carl. I mean, of his own making, this has very much been a solid performance, but everything just seems to have happened at the right time for him. Shaun hasn't done a whole lot wrong. He made that one very good clearance. Just that missed ball in the last frame that he's going to dwell on if he does go on to lose this. This is where it seems a cruel format. Shaun sat around watching 9 games of pool before this one comes out, gets the single frame potentially. Could all be over.
Final 2 minutes coming up. I don't think we're going to have more than 4 shots in that time though. I felt like Carl's kind of just calmed everything down, quietened down the atmosphere out there. Obviously the previous match was very low key, which was very much to his liking, and he's been very much all business here other than one missed opportunity on the loss of turn side, and he's done everything that's asked of him, and I think he'll be thrilled with the way the time's gone, but also I think we might be in for, if Carl does complete victory here, going to the random draw, it might just inject a little bit of energy in the room depending on what comes out as well.
Yeah, I agree. It does feel a bit subdued. We're going into the evening session of the match now. It does feel like get a couple of players out there, maybe some big personalities happen to come out. I think Callum Singleton's call out really started off that chain of events that made for a very lively first part of the first session. Definitely time for a bit more of that tonight. So just this 8-ball to take his place on the hot seat.
Job done for Carl Sutton. Missed opportunities for Shaun Storry. Very big one there in the middle.
All right then. You know what that means, players? It's random draw time. It could be any two of you not named Carl Sutton. Callum Singleton is back in the draw now, with Carl winning that one. So, computer, let's find out our next player in the last man standing. Who is it going to be? Come on down. Mr. Craig Waddingham, the silver sniper. Straight in, Craig. Love to see that.
Yep.
How are you feeling?
Yeah, as good as I can be. Yeah, let's just play. Yeah.
Not ideal, I'm guessing, but you know how to go far in this competition. You put on a real statement last year. Are you looking to sort of repeat the trick, or have you got some new tricks up your sleeve this time round?
We'll get this game out of the way first and see where we go. Yeah.
Yeah, well, should we find out who you're playing, mate? That'd be a start. Hey, computer, in your own time, let's find out who Wad will be taking on. Tom Jones, the fifth Beatle. Get yourself in here, Tom.
Could sort of amp up the energy a bit in the room. I think whichever of them wins might well make a call. I think these two are much more likely to shout somebody out and go for the big call than some of the previous ones.
I mean, there was a lot of talk last year about Neil Rayburn calling out Tom Cousins on after the very first match, and that was fabulous. It really was. But for me, the best moment we've had with Ultimate Pool, obviously it came on a random draw. You know, the fact that Craig Waddingham had to play Mick Hill, and that was obviously causing a major stir when that happened. That was midway through day one in the afternoon session rather than the evening here. But then he goes and calls out Gareth Potts, which was one of the biggest lunatic moves we've seen with Ultimate Pool, but also ended up being complete genius because he gets the victory. Fabulous match as well, but gets the victory, wins his next match, and you don't see him again till the final. So he's probably thinking the same thing here. He won't be daunted by this. He's thinking, okay, 3 matches and I'm done. I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, he's got form for those big calls. So I guess a lot of people are going to be rooting for him to win just to see what he might do. Tom Jones, I mean, less clear what he might do. He did play in last year's event. I think he is somebody that might go for a dramatic moment if the occasion arose.
Missed pot from Craig to start us off with, which is rare. He doesn't miss much. But yeah, I don't know what Craig would have. Obviously, there's no Gareth Potts in the draw this time, so we know he's not going to call out Gareth this time round. But I don't know. It was one of those that caused a bit of a stir. But I don't know whether he'll do the same again. I think what I like about Craig is he's very strong-minded in terms of he'll have his own reasons for whoever he calls out. I don't think he'd go for the draw. In all honesty, I think he would call out, but. Yeah, he's not afraid to put his sort of his money where his mouth is, really, and back up and go for a road call.
He's a very confident player as well. He's done pretty much everything in the game, and he's beaten all the top players, so he's not going to be afraid of anyone. This should be, he says, as they get into a tactical game, quite an attacking game. Both of these are guys that like to get on with a frame, normally both very positive.
Tom Jones is one of the new professionals and new breed, and the way he goes about it, really entertaining. like shots like that. How about that as a double? But what tends to be, and this isn't a criticism of Tom, it's just he's where he is in his career right now. He wins so many frames with these eye-catching clearances and these big shots. You know he's really getting onto something when he starts making clearances and he doesn't have to play big shots. That's when, to me, he's going to really start to become a threat to win professional tournaments. But he has all the tools in the box to be able to do that. Really is a fabulous talent.
And this tournament actually could be tailor-made for him because it doesn't demand the same kind of consistency over a lengthy race that some other events do. If he could turn up with that dynamite form at the right moment.
Wow. Big miss. Very lucky as well with the way he's left this, but I think Craig would have expected just to lose the frame off that one. Probably quite happy that he's still in the frame.
Yeah, if there was going to be a mistake, you didn't think it was going to be on that shot. There didn't seem to be a whole lot to do with it. Perfect position for Craig, obviously where he was left, but better than the alternative.
Yeah, no attempt to pot that one. Just trying to leave distance, block off the 8-ball as well.
And actually this is a spot where blocking that pocket is of quite considerable value, because where that yellow is over the hole, the 8-ball would be very hard to play past it and very hard to play through it. So even if Tom does somehow take the reds out, it's not going to be easy for him.
So obviously he's going to back himself here just to make that combination. It's about as good a lay as you can have for that combination shot. Just got to make sure that you have angle on it so you can get on the 8-ball at the same time.
Yeah, you just want to be just off straight with an angle going over towards the right-hand side of the table. Just needs to pull up. That's pretty good. In fact, that's pretty much perfect.
Yeah. If we're being picky, the yellow's just to the side of the pocket, but it is right in the pocket as well. This is as good as it gets, really. Top professional really should be making this. Well, I'm surprised. I actually thought he was going to play that as a little nippy one. I know obviously there's a lot of talk about the combination shots, just a little bit easier to get the kind of spin kind of transferring across, to play it with a little bit screw. Obviously that it's not imperative, you can make it the way he played it, and as long as you square it up. But I thought that was prime just to play a kind of soft screw shot and just kind of give yourself as much margin as possible on the shot.
So you want to go for the Carl Morris shot here, swerve off the right-hand side cushion, banana round.
Well, why not?
I don't think it would be that crazy a shot, actually. I mean, it's sat quite well for lining it up. It's probably not the most obvious shot still, though.
Well, obviously cue in hand now for Craig Waddingham, but it's still not guaranteed to win the frame off it. Looks like he's going to try and play a combination of his own, screw back, make the 8-ball onto the red. Very nice. Now he should go ahead and win the frame.
Yeah, that was a good shot. The frame wouldn't have been that easy to win had he not made that. He's going to play one more good shot, a slightly awkward keying down. Oh, that's a fabulous piece of keying. Very difficult keying down like that to get through in a straight line. He's cued that really well.
Must have felt that the natural was going to take him too close to the yellow, so placed it that way, execute it beautifully. And we're up and running here. Craig Waddingham gets himself 1-0 in front. After missing his chances in the opening frame, important that Tom Jones gets going here, and he's got the chance with a very good break. Yellows is the choice. He's a little short, needs to keep going. He's on this, but obviously the wrong angle, so he's going to have to take the next one from distance. Imagine he'll keep the one on the left-hand side as his last ball, unless he feels like he wants to try and come round for it now, but it's a little bit further away from the centre pocket than you think, so it more sense to take it to the bottom corner.
He's a very fun player to watch, isn't he?
Yeah.
Often not in prime position, but just keeps coming out with these big shots. He's got a game that's sort of half textbook and half anything but. Like when you watch him line a shot up, in some ways the technical fundamentals are actually very conventional, but then just throws in some unusual moments along the way.
Yeah, just think it just needs to tidy up the cue ball and the pattern play to really elevate himself and make him a major danger for professional tournaments. I mean, it's a surprise he made a couple of errors here in the opening 3 frames that are really not surprising, that being one of them. That are surprising rather than that being one of them. But normal circumstances, he makes a high percentage of finishes, but he's always working hard. Whereas the more he plays, the more he plays against top players, the more he's going to learn patterns and tidy that cue ball up. He can really, the sky's the limit, really.
Yeah, he's got to cut out those unforced errors. Those are the things that really kill you in matches, especially against opponents like this that are just so ruthless. Sometimes against lesser opponents, you start making mistakes and they almost join you. You can sort of drag everyone into a scrappy game. Someone like Craig Waddingham just looks at this thinking, oh, this guy's not playing well, I'm just going to motor away through this.
Yeah, I think one of the other reasons as well is that if you play a game where you do need to play a lot of big shots and you have to keep, coming up with the goods and cue the ball well, you'll have days when you turn up and for whatever reason you just don't cue the ball particularly well. But if you play this sort of game with, you back your pattern play and you make the game as easy as possible, then you can have days where you don't actually have to play that well. You're kind of working the puzzle out well.
Yeah, I mean, we always say that about Phil Harrison. He's in our draw and one of the bounties, and we've seen absolutely nothing of so far. I mean, you watch him play a match, like, was he cueing well or not? Hard to say, really. Just seemed to roll all the balls in. It was all about the patterns.
Yeah, I mean, the one that always sticks out for me, and there's some fabulous players with their pattern play, and there's so many that would be in the conversation, but obviously we haven't seen him for a year or so. But for Mick Hill, he could win a tournament without having to play a tough shot. His patterns are so good.
Craig sort of isn't that player. I mean, his patterns are very good, but you feel like most times you watch him play, you watch him play quite a lot of cueing shots. He quite often seems to be at distance, but somehow it plays out okay.
Yeah, I always think that Craig, his patterns matches the way he wants to go about it. In his strength is potting, and his patterns match the potting. He plays a lot of shots and makes a lot of choices where he will always back the potting ability that he has. This is a delicate one. Big shot as well with just under 7 minutes to go. 3-0 if this drops in. 2-1 if it doesn't. That's how it will feel. And it's not going to. It's quite a long way off. I think the yellow will squeeze in off the top cushion and off the red as well, so this isn't too bad for Tom.
This is a must-win frame and a must-take clearance because he can't slip 3-0 behind, and he can't really afford to let Craig back at the table in this match. In this frame, at least.
He's come a little bit too far up the table.
Yeah, it's in a good place for the pot, but it's not in a good place to get position after it.
Yeah, I mean, if you stop a foot, 2 foot short of where he is now, you're playing a natural. So he's gone the other way. He's gone to play the loss of turn. I wonder if that was always his plan then, because he was so far up the table that maybe he just felt like he couldn't squeeze that one in, and it was better to be patient.
In theory, that's the right shot, because you look at where this 8-ball is, but you know what Wad's like. You just feel he's going to find a pocket somehow.
He's playing the long double. The advantage of the long double was the fact that if you get it close and it blocks the pocket, you have some equity in the frame, but he was a long way off.
He chooses to either play this long to the corner as a shot to nothing, or could just play a safety shot if he feels the clearance is difficult.
That's an excellent pot from Tom.
Had the assurance there that even if he did miss the pot, the black wasn't going to be straightforward. Had to really back himself to pot it though, because he doesn't want Craig having another shot at the black.
Has he come far enough across? I don't think so. Yeah, shake of the head. It was one of those angles he would have loved an extra half a turn just to make it really easy. And force it across. He was okay. He played that with side obviously just to make the potting angle, but it wasn't as bad as he first thought and I first thought. And he is on the board.
probably a golden duck, because it's very hard to see how Tom's going to get the second frame, even if he was to break and clear for the first one.
Yeah, the golden break would have been the one, wouldn't it? Give himself enough time for potentially a reverse clearance. But Craig's breaking so well, and this may be over. Tom's already got down, and whilst we're looking at the replay, he's already got down, missed a pot, and he's conceded. He felt enough is enough. He's not going to be able to win it, and Craig Waddingham has got the job done.
Who do you fancy? There's a couple of players on there who are eliminated, but pretty much everyone there in white is available for you. We do have our hitmen all in play.
I'll go for Scott Yardley.
Scott Yardley, come on down, dogs.
Scott Yardley.
Oh, golden break.
Oh, wow. How's that? What a start from Scott Yardley.
Oh, wow. He actually hit them really good, to be fair.
Well, let's take
I think he would have had a good layout either way, but...
Oh, this is a massive shot now. It does pop, but wafer thin. Nothing to do with the white, really. He hasn't got to get position, and it's not really going to go in off, so just needs to focus on the pot.
Very easy to miss these shots thick. I know it sounds obvious, but because he's got to catch it so thin, yeah. You see them shots missed thick 9 times out of 10, but which is the obvious, really, because of how thin it is.
It's funny, though, isn't it? Because you don't very often see people just miss the edge of it altogether, and you almost think you should be favouring that side of the ball.
Yeah, it's sort of as if you have to play to miss the 8 when shots are that thin.
This is a reprieve for Craig, though. 2-0 down. Okay, there'd have been plenty of time left on the match clock, but that would not have been the start he wanted.
Yeah, still a little bit of work to do for Craig. Obviously, he's going to have a tough shot up the rail to then get on his ball on the top cushion. And he's very straight on this ball. I think he's fine. He's going to have to take the middle next, which is okay. So it's not the end of the world landing straight on this ball, but I think he would have liked to have an angle to land on the one on the side rail after this one. But he's just having to reroute. It's fine, he can go middle, and then I assume he'll take the one on the top rail back down centre of the table for the ball on the rail.
Yeah, you can see from the way he spent a while thinking about it, he's had to slightly reroute his original plan.
So anything but straight here. I think he'll use the top cushion just to get a little bounce off, but it's anything but straight. Whatever you do, you can't leave this ball straight. And it's perfect, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to have a kind of natural angle, not have to force it too hard. He's got just about enough to play with. He's going to have to put a little bit of pace into this, but that shouldn't be a problem. The table was reclothed at the mid-session interval, so you would imagine the pockets are going to play fairly big down the cushions.
Yeah, Craig's such a deadly potter as well. You would always back him in these sort of situations. Yeah, heart of the pocket. That was in on any table.
Yeah, I mean, he makes it look so easy, doesn't he? But most people know those kind of balls down the rail when you're not dead behind them aren't the easiest of shots.
No disrespect to the amateurs that have qualified, but they were the ones that most of the pros are probably going to pick. Just because of the experience. They've had little to no experience. Oh, he's got another golden. That's unbelievable. 2 golden breaks in a row. Wow. Oh my God, this game
Scott
never
Yardley.
ceases to amaze you, does it?
Look at that.
Wow.
Same pocket as well. Oh no, it wasn't the same pocket, was it? It was the middle the last time.
Middle last time, but both of them didn't even touch the sides. Christie's one of the most naturally talented pool players out there. And oh my God, he's nearly got another one. Wow.
Wow. Can be disappointed with that.
But he's
just
not
stop short.
I don't think he's even bothered that the black's there. If that yellow goes past the black, this should be 3-2. It's a perfect layout.
Yeah, and what the last 2 chances he's had were kind of must-take ones, but this really is a must-take one now. He can't obviously rely on golden breaks. He's got to start clearing up some of the frames. Again, he's just played a slightly unnecessary cannon.
Yeah.
Should still
I think
be okay.
he's still good here. I think you get rid of these 2 at the bottom, then you go middle, which naturally leaves you on the one into the top. I think your last 2 balls are going into the top right as we look.
So he didn't have any choice but to play some kind of contact on the yellow, but just knocked the one he played a bit further than he wanted. Still in good shape there at the bottom of the table.
Yeah, like you say though, Mark, this is huge because Scott's had 2 golden breaks and the first 3 chances in every other frame in open play with, you have to say, pretty good layouts, and he finds himself at 2-2.
8 minutes remaining on the match clock. Obviously going ahead at this point in the match is super valuable.
It looks tight, but it must go because it wouldn't have been this far into the clearance if it don't go. But as we've seen from that shot there, it does look very tight. You'd like to been a little bit straighter on it, but it must go. He wouldn't have come this far into the visit, surely, if it doesn't. I wouldn't want to be playing this at speed either, because the 8 ball could go anywhere. If he is playing it off the 8.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, isn't it? From the overhead angle that we've also got in the commentary box, it looks like it does sneak in, but he's now starting to line up the shot off the 8 ball. Doesn't want to knock the 8 safe, as you say.
Oh, that was so risky. To be honest, he's got what he's deserved there. He has got what he's deserved there. There was no need.
He played an unnecessary cannon in his last visit to the table. That was costly. It looks like it's going to be the same equation here.
Yeah, there was no need to play that.
That's the difference sometimes. The top pros just make the game look easy by playing the right shot. Scott played the right shot a few times in a row, but then just slipped a bit out of perfect position.
Yeah, it all went wrong when he didn't land straight on the ball in the middle, really, because if he lands straight, all he has to do is play 3 stun shots and he's won the frame, basically. I get, yeah, maybe he was going away from his work, he didn't want to, but I think he could have just dropped that in dead weight, surely. Craig's played, yeah, he's fine. Played for an area there, which, when you've got 4 balls in the bottom of the table, is always not a bad idea.
It's hard not to be confident if you're Craig here, because every time he's seen his opponent get in first in a clearance, he's missed at some point, and then Craig's just getting these easy second chances. You'd always rather be the second guy to the table as long as you get to the table. Often at the pro level, it's that chance that you're missing. But here, where Scott's getting in and playing 1 loose one each frame.
Yeah, he's had 3 very, very good chances and 2 golden breaks, so it looks like he's going to probably lose this match, because as we know, the pool gods just crush you for not taking your golden opportunities, especially. Is it Craig's break next?
Yeah.
I think it's odds on to see a Craig break in clearance now, after the chances Scott's threw away.
Yeah, Craig's had 2 dry breaks already this match, which is unusual. I mean, really, given that stat, Craig's had 2 dry breaks, got potted off one of his and had 2 other golden breaks. He's going to be pretty disappointed if he finds himself 3-2 down. 3-2 down he is, though.
What will you be doing, Mr. Waddingham?
I'll go for random draw.
Random draw, okay. I was convinced you were going to choose a hitman, but it will be the random draw. So, yeah, you've mellowed in your old age, Craig. Okay, so computer, when you're ready, it's time to find out who Craig will be playing. Who've you got, Wad? Come on down, Ian Alley. That's a cracking game.
To be honest, I think you want to be called out when Callum was called earlier in the first match.
Yeah.
And if you can win your 3, then you could be off, right till the end, really. But yeah, now is not really the time you want to be called out, because you've got to play the final few games of the night if you still want to be here tomorrow. So, yeah.
Potentially a tough one here for your pairs partner in Carl Sutton, because he's earned the right to be sitting on the hot seat, and he could be straight back in the mix as quickly as is possible. He deserves a little bit longer than how hard he had to work to get through.
Yeah, obviously the longer, the deeper we go in the tournament, the less chance there is really of someone winning 3 in a row, because the field is like so good at this stage. You're looking around and it's not really a good draw.
But you also said when you came in, you were sort of talking about how you want to get going, but you've been sitting around all day. How tough is it for Ian coming out cold against Craig, who was 2 matches in? He's already won 2 matches. He's up and running. He's got a rhythm going. He's got a feel.
Yeah, it's hard, and unfortunately this weekend there's no practice facilities either, so we're all going on completely cold. So yeah, it's going to be tough, and Craig will be favourite for this match because he's had the run, and Ian's just been sitting there all day. So he's played a good shot there to develop the black. So yeah, there's a good chance here that Craig takes the first frame, and Carl will be twitching a little bit.
Yeah, that's the one. I do feel for Carl if Craig was to win this one, because he would kick him off the hot seat and get on there himself.
It's a good shot. Actually, had to bend that. Yeah, it's a very good shot. So because he had to bend it, it meant obviously he couldn't do nothing with the white. So he's got to just be very pinpoint with these last 3 shots to find a way to get on that ball to the bottom right-hand corner. Unless it drops in the middle from sort of, the top of the racking area, but I don't know if it does.
There probably is a window, but it'd be thin, wouldn't it? It'd be awkward.
It's getting there, which is a tough shot. But if he can drop this in, he's going to leave a shot on the other yellow to middle to possibly screw over on and just land on one of them 2 reds. Ideally the one below the yellow. So he looks a bit thin for that though, so he's now coming round.
He's looking to the right-hand side of the reds, where there's maybe a bigger gap.
Yeah, this is a small window to land on this to the right centre.
Doesn't want to hit the 8 ball full. That's okay.
Is that okay?
I think that's okay. Although the natural's taking him behind the reds, but he'll take the fact if he can pot this, it'll be okay.
If he can do anything with the cue ball, yeah. But if he's got to dink it with side, he may not have the gap.
Big moments in this match, because you feel, for everything we talked about, Ian would like to get off to the quickest start, and this could stop him from having a chance to do just that. He's played for the gap, and I don't think he's got it. Yeah, reaction tells us he hasn't.
That was a very tricky one, that. Wouldn't mind seeing a corner pocket view here, just to see if he's got a little bend or a big bend.
Oh,
yeah,
that's
it's
the
a tough
perfect
bend.
view. This is a decent amount.
Oh, I thought he had that.
I thought he did.
Yeah.
Maybe
It's worth noting it's a brand new cloth actually.
Yeah.
The table got recovered, so they're even harder to get the bite on the spin. So
He felt like he just needed that, like almost extra ball's length, just to allow it to really grip and go, and it just didn't quite go. But
and the fact that Ian's got this chance,
now.
What we said at the start about being cold. Well, this is him, getting into the match now. So looks like he's going to take a 1-0 lead.
which is exactly what he would want, just to get going, get into the match, get a rhythm going, kind of try and get over the fact that he's playing somebody that's out there in rhythm. How surprised have you been today with, certainly early on with some of the picks, some of the way it's gone? I mean, I feel like it's gone back to kind of what we were expecting as the day's gone further through.
Yeah, there was a couple of funny, strange picks earlier on, but Craig was one last year who made some surprising picks, but he's probably gone down the route that
Yeah.
you would expect. No disrespect to the players he's picked, or the player he picked, but
yeah.
I think you've got to start to go down the list in terms of the order, the ranking list. Not that they've got the list up there, but roughly in your head where people are.
Yeah, and I think last year's decision to go for Gareth was, of course, he's already been eliminated. Can't get it this time round. Well, he's going to get an opportunity to right the wrongs of the previous two frames, although there's work this time round.
Yeah, he has to play a cannon whatever set he goes for, which is all you can really ask for when you're in the other seat. On these tables where they play so big, all you're hoping for is you have to do something.
Yeah.
And he's at the perfect angle there anyway, but so it turns out that he should get these quite comfortably anyway. But yeah, obviously with the table being redone, the table will naturally play a bit bigger as well. The cushions haven't been done. If they had been done, they would play massive, but They will play a little bit bigger, which just makes the game easier.
Are you surprised by the decision by Ultimate Pool? Do you know what the discussions from the players that had played was regarding the table?
Well, I think it's because the referee couldn't rack them on the spots anymore, basically. I think that's the reason. It's not ideal to change, but it's not a big issue. You know, you sometimes see the World Snooker, they change the cloth overnight.
Yeah.
Not generally in the same match, I don't think, but you know, it hasn't really affected anyone. Everyone's in the same boat, so you know, I haven't got too much of a problem with that.
Well, that one's gone wrong for Craig. Just knocked a red awkward after a good opening shot to develop the table.
Yeah, it's not an easy double because of how close the red is to the cushion. So, wow, he's looking at playing the cannon with the white ball going into the yellow to push the red off.
I feel like if he plays that shot, he could end up nowhere on both reds.
Well, I think he'll naturally be on the one nearest the top cushion, or the bolt cushion. If he just plays at a nice pace. Just needs a little bump off the cushion, so, but he obviously thinks it's not the natural line. So it looks like he's going to have to either play on the double or try and get over there. But as you can see, no good there. It's down quick. He's playing the cannon now. I thought he was looking at playing this cannon the first shot. So, oh no, he's played a nice shot actually. He's played the white ball off the yellow to leave the double. I think that's a pretty good shot. I think he played that.
Still needs making though. This is a big shot in this match. Oh, it was right on the edge from the minute he hit it. What an opportunity here for Ian Ali to go 3-0. Okay, not absolutely wide open for the counter clearance, but he's in the driving seat in the frame.
That's not come out, I don't think. Can he snip this back? No, he's playing the safety. Just got to make sure he cuts the line off to the top cushion because the red is dangerously close to the middle pocket, so.
Well, he's covered the top cushion, but he hasn't covered the red. So full sight of this for Craig, but not much you can do from here.
Yeah, I can't see a shot. Can't see a pot on.
Not again. Oh, so close.
He'll settle for that, I think.
Yeah, that's a result.
Red's gone fairly close to the corner and there's no real pot on. And actually he's got to come off this and make sure you don't leave the gap. Oh, he's gone the other side, so yeah, make sure you don't go in off. Wonder if he'll use the jaws of the top right pocket to come across. Not sure he can come off the left-hand side cushion and cut it in. I think that yellow's in the way.
Yeah, looks a fairly regulation hit from the left-hand side through the gap, but can't do anything with that. So taking on the more expansive shot.
Yeah, good effort. Ian will be loving this situation.
Yeah, as long as he goes on to win the frame, this is eating time into the match. He's still huge favourite to win the frame, which makes him a massive favourite to win the match from here.
Yeah, it's one of them where he can just win this frame at whatever pace he likes. So he'll probably try and miss this thin and just leave the white over the right hand side. Oh, he's gone for the pot. But you see, he has left the pot if he'd have missed that. I think a bit risky to play it that way, but
probably one of those he felt like he was going to get the snooker anyway, so thought it was a free hit, and then just nearly missed it on the thick side and just pulled the cue ball up. And it worked out well for him because he made the pot. This is just really good stuff from Ian. He's been given a frame, but very solid match play out there from him, and 3-0 up. one away, 6:25 to go.
Are we going to go to the random draw, or are you going to call someone else?
I'll pick.
Picking, okay. We'll get up the list of players for you in case you need a little helping hand. The only player not available for you to pick there is in gold, Carl Sutton. He's in the safe seat. Everyone in grey is already gone. Those in white are available for you. There's a couple who've been giving you a bit of stick in the gap there, but what are you fancying?
I'm going to call out the young superstar, Jaden.
Jaden Billingham, down you come, mate. Christy Caulfield's quite pleased with that call out, let me tell you.
One of the few, probably the only non-pro still remaining. I mean, he is a well-known up-and-coming player, though, and like people are talking about him in pretty glowing terms about being the next big thing. So you do it at your own peril, I guess. He could turn out and put a big performance in.
Yeah, I mean, there are people, I know that are talking him up like they're almost saying he's guaranteed to be a future world champion, and he's going to be the star of the future, and absolutely agree that he's got every opportunity. But I hope they don't put people around him don't put too much pressure on him, and he can stay just in his own space and just enjoy the game and see where he ends up. But yeah, I mean, a young man with a huge future in the game. He's got all the assets.
Yeah, I mean, the fact he's qualified for this already, having a great run already on the Challenger event. I mean, young players tend to be more fearless, so coming into this, he's probably not going to be scared of the occasion, but I guess Ian is correctly calculating that he doesn't have the same match play experience, so
yeah, and I think the biggest challenge is really just, and I spoke very briefly to Tom Jones after he lost. I said to him, you missed a few that you just don't expect. You didn't look your normal self out there. He said he just felt really cold, really awkward, he just felt as uncomfortable as he has done in this environment. And I think that's probably the challenge here for Jaden. It normally, would be living on the table, and he's had to hang around all day, mixing it with all the top players, and now he's got to go out there and try and find his game, and he's up against a player that's playing incredibly well.
Yeah, Ian Alley is another one we haven't really talked about today, but big performance against Wad there. He's very capable. Again, I think it's somebody that'll love this format, plays a sort of quick attacking game. Looks like a guy that probably sort of warms up quite quickly as well. He's sort of got a scrappy game about him, feels like he can mix it in any situation.
Yeah, and very quickly out the blocks here. That was excellent from Ian.
Yeah, I mean, it seems Ian did what you'd say was rationally the sensible choice in his last one. He's not, I think actually Ian is definitely in that category of players that wouldn't be afraid of any of the hitmen. He'd kind of fancy the job, but he's probably going to ask himself whether he needs that problem when there are easier draws out there.
Yeah, it's one of those, isn't it? Of course, you go the random draw, you could get a really good draw, you could get a really poor draw. I mean, you could draw someone like a John McAllister, who is playing as well as anybody in the game right now, but there's no bounty on his head. But you could equally get one of the qualifiers. So I can kind of make the case both ways, and especially today, especially right now for Ian, it's win one. Well, if he wins this match, it'd be win one more match, and then you're safely through to tomorrow, and you're safely into the money. So, but we can't get too carried away here, because this is a really good chance for Jaden, and I always think the second and third frames are kind of almost more pivotal than the first one, really, at times in these races to four. If he loses this frame, you feel like it's a long way back, but if he wins it, he's right in the mix.
Yeah, I agree. It's a big frame, isn't it? 2-1 or 3-0. It's also a big frame, just in that he hasn't really shown what he can do yet. We know how good a player he is, and we've heard of his reputation, even if we haven't seen a ton of him. But he's going to want to prove that he can do it out there in this main arena. He looks a bit more settled now. He played a couple of edgy shots early on, but seems to have just slowed down. Just looks a bit more in control of himself. Most young players generally start out being quite attacking, so you assume he's probably going to prefer to get into a bit more of an open game.
I think he left himself too straight here. He's got a problem all of a sudden. Does he have the angle to do anything? Can he top through into the yellow? Knock the yellow to the side cushions, down the red to the centre pocket. He looks plumb straight, but you can really pick the pocket here. No, he was too straight, so he's just had to drop it in to take the red top right. Slightly off angle as well. He's going left-hand side of the table, so he's going to have to top through for right centre.
Right now you feel he just needs an easy open position, whereas what he's being faced with is a kind of tricky, delicate one. He has this shot though.
I think he thought it was in when he hit it. I thought it was in.
Yeah, it's a tricky shot played at that pace, but yeah, when it came off the cue ball, it looked to be a good line. Ian does have the look of the elder statesman here. He just sort of knows what's coming. He's expecting to get another chance at the table. And just looks very comfortable as he comes back to take it. Don't think anyone can really be disappointed to get called out at this stage because they have been sat around all day. Ian didn't really look that perturbed when he was called out. It sort of looked like he was ready, fancied getting out there for a game.
And I would imagine that Jaden's been expecting it all day. I think all the qualifiers will have come in and thought, well, they're going to stay away from the top boys, and therefore I'm more likely. So I think maybe a little bit later than Jaden was expecting.
Yeah, we've only got one lower ranked player left, which is Christy Caulfield. Lower ranked in the sense that he's a new pro. We've got quite a few other people that came through the qualifying competition, but there's some big names. I mean, Josh Kane, Liam White, John McAllister, people like that. They were qualifiers in the sense they didn't get automatic places, but they're not exactly amateur qualifiers. They are themselves top pros already.
Yeah, John McAllister's won 2 titles this year. I mean, he's right up there and arguably player of the year right now with Tom Cousins.
Yeah, it's the biggest improvement in ranking. He was ranked 38 last season. He's up to 5 already this year.
Well, that miss from Ian has really given hope here to Jaden. Not easy, because he blocked off the top right-hand corner pocket, but to get back to the table, he'll be thrilled. Oh, and he could get to the right-hand side of that red. That's beautiful.
That was just the right moment for him as well, because if he can win this frame and get it back to 2-1, you really do feel this is anyone's game. If it went 3-0, you sort of almost feel like you're playing for a consolation at that point.
Well, a little bit short. Might have to go long here. Depends what the natural line is if he cuts it in. And it looks all right.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty well-controlled shot. That wasn't quite as easy as it looked. Well, that's important for him, and obviously nice to see. He gets his first frame on the board.
Worry about that when you get there. Oh, we might get there quickly here with a in-off from Jaden.
Yeah, it was a big break as well. He got a lot of power into it. Yeah, sometimes the way you try and put a bit more power in when you're behind in a match to try and make something happen, and then you lose control. I mean, these are set pretty well, really, for Ian.
Yeah, nothing in the way to stop him from getting to the winning line right now. That's okay.
In these short races, you do want to get to the winning line when you get the chance, because you're never certain of getting another chance. We've seen some matches turn around already. Played that nicely. The only thing that could have gone wrong there was getting stuck behind the yellow, but forced the white through. Just this simple 8 ball to complete what's been a fairly routine victory, you'd have to say, for Ian. Jaden had that one moment where he took the frame. Definitely shown some moments of promise, but just wasn't showing quite the consistency that was needed to beat a player of Ian's calibre.
But there's not much say-so from yourself here, Ian. You've got some kind of choice, as it's your potential 3rd game. You can either go to the random draw, or you can call out one of the ultimate pool last man standing hitmen. What would you like to do?
Is Christy a hitman?
He isn't, sadly. I can confirm Christy Caulfield is not a hitman. Maybe tomorrow at some point, but sadly you can't have him.
Random draw.
Random draw. You never know. You never know. It might be here. Okay. So we go to the random draw. I think it's fair to say we all know who Ian Alley would like to play, but it goes down to the computer. So computer, let's see who the Fave's opponent will be as he looks to go 3 in a row. Luke Gilbert!
I think he's hit the ground running, good finish, and he has the break. Oh, how about that for a break? He's going to get another one. Another 2. Another 3. That's insane. Wow. Just the calm 6 balls off the break. How about that? And I tell you what, the red-yellow plant into the centre is hurting him. In other rule sets, you'd be down playing the red-yellow plant and you'd be away. Can't do that here with international 8-ball rules. It's actually a trickier finish than it could have been if more balls had stayed on the table.
Sometimes that's the way. More balls is actually easier, but didn't that look spectacular? Well, he's missed that. So first chance for Luke Gilbert. Not ideal, as we were saying, to get called out at this point, but he's got to get his campaign going somewhere. He's going to have to play for the rest of the night and still come back tomorrow morning to play some more if he wants to stay in this tournament.
Depends how you approach it, though, doesn't it? As you said, it from Ian's perspective, he knows if he wins this match, he's a good few couple of matches into tomorrow before he has to worry. From Luke Gilbert's perspective, he's in the tournament here where he'd have to win 2 matches tonight, come back to win tomorrow morning, but then he would be guaranteed, if he was able to do that, to have at least 3 matches off. All of a sudden, you're very deep into the prize money, you're very deep into the tournament. You can start to see the finish line. So, you know, obviously a terrible time to be called out, but the benefits and the rewards of playing well for the final 2 matches here is actually really high.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Plus, of course, for the top players, I mean, they're here to win by playing. We sort of joke about, a few people, you could have a lucky run where you don't play much, but that's probably more of an issue for the qualifiers who it's a novel experience playing out on this table. Someone like Luke, he's well used to winning all the matches required to get through a tournament. See the hashtag on the back of his shirt, Team Blessed. Not quite been blessed with the position, so he's going to have to come out with a shot here.
Oh no. What a fluke. Will he be on it? No. Is he? Oh, it's tight. I think that tells us he is, because he's just held up his hand just to acknowledge.
Yeah, that was a huge fluke.
He's having to bend it just a touch. But not too bad. Oh, what a massive fluke.
Well, I thought it was worth highlighting his nickname. It just felt like he was winding up for a moment like that. Needed that bit of luck to get his only frame so far on the board. Big break now for Ian.
Everything's going to be a letdown after making 6 on the previous break, but it's still very good.
Yes, to settle for 2 this time.
In all honesty, though, the players would rather make 2 balls off the break than 6 every single time. Obviously, there's a chance you make 6. You could have 1 pot and an 8 ball, but it's very, very unlikely. It just doesn't happen. But if you make 2, or even 1, you've got more balls on the table, and yes, more traffic, but more balls to deal with that traffic. Whereas Ian made 6, but he didn't really have a very easy finish on because of it. Ian wasn't worried about getting down the table there, just wanted to make sure he could play the plant next shot.
The way it's played this, looks like the red does go past the yellow to the bottom left. It's quite tight, but it's got space. Oh, well, in fact, from that angle, it's not even as tight as it looks from the overhead. It's got a nice angle to track back across the table here.
He hit that. He stayed down on the shot like he was worried he was going to flick the yellow and could be awkward. I mean, when he went bottom left before bottom right, I didn't think too much of it, but the natural just looked better to go the other way where there was no traffic. Of late,
Well, the numbers are going down. 6 in the first break, 2 in the second break. Only 1 this time, but 1's enough for him.
yeah, and this is a much better leave than it was when he made 6. Much, much better leave. Just the one yellow maybe that's slightly awkward, but it's not really because of the yellow by the 8 ball. The yellow may not pass the 8 ball to the bottom left corner, but the one that's by the 8 ball gives him access to right centre. It's just a nice layout all the way round, and won't be too much hope here for Luke Gilbert.
Yeah, this is a much more straightforward chance than the one that went begging in the previous frame. The way he's been playing so far today, you'd say this is close to 100%, but of course, we all know the last frame you need is sometimes the hardest.
Might just have to play this one with a trace. I'll just accept a little bit of angle. Yeah, just a little trace aside, just try and get down there. And that isn't the best of shots. The last 2 have not been brilliant from a position of being absolutely perfect. I mean, you still should get out. And he is still going to get out as well. What a brilliant performance from Ian Ali. 3 and done. He is safely into the hot seat. The fave marches on, and apart from 1 frame in 3 matches, that was brilliant from Ian Ali.
Now that does leave us with 1 more match tonight, and currently as it stands, no players to play in it. We had this exact same situation last year. I don't need to remind Ronan McCarthy and Phil Harrison what happened then. It's a random draw. 2 players will play our final match of the night. Who fancies it, boys? Christy Caulfield fancies it. I had a feeling he might be the one to stick his hand up. Sadly, Christy, we're not taking volunteers, but it is now time to find out our first player in our final match of the night. It's a tough spot to be in. Computer, let's find out our very first player. Who is it going to be? Callum Singleton. He's already gone 3 and out tonight, and in he comes again. Go 3 and 0, and you're in the final match tonight. To play Callum, it is going to be Phil Parkin. And Ronan McCarthy is absolutely ecstatic. That is the happiest I've ever seen him, and I've seen him lift a world title.
He has given us the moment of the day. Calling out Declan Brennan was fabulous after changing his mind, going from the random draw, and we nearly start with a golden break as well. Actually, there was a sign of when he played earlier on. He got the 8 ball in motion a lot because he's cut breaking. Didn't make a golden break, but he left a lot of awkward layouts, and I feel like he's done the same again here. This is an awkward layout. But he's got Phil Parkin for company, and Phil's very much a mercurial player. A really good run, made his first final only, 3-4 weeks ago, if that, in this venue. Come up just short against John McAllister. But a player that should be buzzing with confidence, and a player that I think this is a really good event for him. I think he's one of the quickest players on the tour. He's an inspirational player, and I don't think it will faze him being out last match of the night either.
No, I mean, he's, yeah, as you say, tournament made for him. He looked pretty disappointed, as you'd expect, when he was called out, because it's just a pain to be called out for the last match of the night. He'd rather have come back tomorrow morning and started over, because he's still going to have to come back tomorrow morning even if he wins. So this is just a banana skin he doesn't want. But you've got to start your campaign somewhere, so he'll understand that.
Yeah, I mean, all players will be disappointed because it's that time of the night you don't want to play, but equally, yeah, you've got to win 3 more 3 matches here to get yourself in. Whereas if you avoid tonight, maybe you might miss the pick tomorrow morning because maybe you feel there's other options out there, and all of a sudden you might be, an extra 3-4 matches in, and then you're going to have to go out there and win 3 straight if you want to win the tournament at some point. But yeah, it could have been kinder for both these players. Both players have been to professional finals. Obviously Phil only a few weeks ago, and Callum early in his pro career as well, a year or so ago now. 2 players you'd say absolutely capable of winning this title.
So there's a real sort of first round feel. It's one of those situations where you can't win the tournament, but you can lose it. All they can do is book a place in tomorrow's part of the draw. They've just got to get through this match. All the other players, of course, very relieved. Everybody that's not at the table now is done for the night. They know they're coming back tomorrow morning. Action will be resuming at 11 in the morning, playing through over the course of tomorrow to our winner. 16 more matches to come.
Yeah, guaranteed 16 more matches. No more extra lives. They've gone. Jack Wheelen, the lucky man to receive one earlier on, having lost. He remains in the tournament. I don't know if this has been the case for Callum Singleton or not, but certainly on today's evidence, the cut break isn't giving him wide open chances, and whether that is what he wants, whether it's been like this for a little while or not, whether it's just the way the balls are coming out today, but I wonder if it's something for him to look at going forward, or whether he's happy with it. But he must play, when the balls come out like this, you play a lot of frames like this that would need a bit of working out.
Yeah, it's a good point. I mean, he's known as a good tactical player, but still, at this level, you need to take a fair number off your own break. There's obviously the advantage of the cut break. You're more likely to get a golden break, which in today's format is pretty valuable. No one's really been having much luck, though, apart from Scott Yardley. Only the 2 that we've seen so far. This frame has somewhat got away from Phil, though. The Reds have been just getting better and better for the last few shots, and now Callum's in a nice position.
This is tricky. You'll fancy it, but it's still just a little tricky. Yeah, played to perfection. Excellent. Now should be able to go on and win this opening frame.
Seems to be going about this with the right attitude. You could obviously have complained about being drawn out again, but took it in the spirit that he had to, really. It is what it is. He's just got to start winning again. And of course the fact that he has won 3 matches out there today, he knows how to do it.
Big visit hit for Phil. Can't really let Callum get a couple of clear, and he's got to get into this. Well, if he's played for the gap, that's excellent. I really like Phil's game. He's got so much confidence and backs his own ability. He sees things probably in an unconventional way compared to some of the top players, but he really believes in what he's doing out there, and he's so good at doing it.
He's had a really good last few months. He's really rocketed up the provisional rankings. He was one of those players when he first got pro status, you fancied him to have a good run, but I don't know if you necessarily fancied him to be a sort of consistent top 16 player, and that's very much the direction he's trending towards now. His issue used to be that he'd play a few good shots, or maybe even a few good frames, and then would just throw a careless one in. It feels like he's starting to eliminate that. It's not completely gone, there is still some element, but he's just playing so much good stuff.
Yeah, just would love an extra turn of angle on that previous shot, just so he could get right behind this 8-ball now. It's one of those that, on this table, top players would expect to make it, but it's not guaranteed. That was really nice. I don't care what table you're playing on, that is going right in the heart of the pocket. Beautiful stuff from Phil Parkin.
For some of the others, there's a bit of an uncertainty. You could sit around for a while. At least you know what you've got to do. You can come back, win 2 matches, and then you're deep into the tournament. Persevering with the cut break.
Yeah, and this is a much better leave if the red goes right centre. I suppose he could clip the red back top right, but the red right centre would be a lovely opener. Well, he is going to be top right. It's not too bad. Just got to control the cue ball. Got to control the cue ball.
Bit unlucky to end up in the middle. The cue ball was always running loose, but took a bit of an unfortunate nudge from his perspective.
And of course, it means reds are still wide open here for Phil. Put himself quite close to this red. I suppose he felt the closer he got, the more angle he's kind of given himself.
Yeah, he's obviously left-handed, so it's the right side of the table for him, but you've got to be careful with those shots.
Wow.
Well, what have we seen there? That's not a shot you'd expect him to miss.
Yeah, very surprising miss.
He was just trying to pinch a bit of pocket to hold the ball, but there's still quite a bit of margin for error to screw off the left side cushion. Didn't need to take undue liberty there. And the one saving grace for Phil is that the reds were so obviously the best colour that even though Callum comes to the table, not in a perfect spot, but you'd rather be at the man at the table, of course.
Would love that yellow to stay up. It doesn't. That makes it harder for him.
Yeah, if it just hangs over the pocket, because then he can plant the ball that's just above the cue ball now, and it just makes the position so much easier. Because although he can still pot the ball up the rail, he's still got the issue of getting to the balls at the top of the table.
How comfortable would he be with the plant on the top? It just does look awkward, doesn't it? Just enough.
It's one of those plants you sort of almost guarantee to get the second ball into the jaws of the pocket, but it's very hard to imagine not rattling it. You'd have to hit it really perfectly. So, is he going to play that, or is he going to play the one over the left-hand corner and swing the white over to where he's pointing with his cue?
Plant it is. The problem with the plant this time is you've got to be on the ball you're playing. So there's more going on than just making the plant.
Yeah, you've got to commit to one of two options. He's either got to screw back or he's got to go across the face of the second one and play it into the opposite corner. Neither of those options is ideal. Well, he's got caught between all of those options. He's made the plant though, which is the difficult bit. It's thin, but the ball does still pot. It's just a case of controlling the white. He's played that well. It's never going to be easy to hold the white, and he's not perfect, but at least he's got a shot.
Very good. Very, very good from Callum. Didn't hit that one quite as well as he hit the previous one. Still's worked out for him. He's made a ball.
Yeah, he's made a ball, and the yellow's not looking too bad. He's just got one near the left middle that's a bit awkward. The others all in pretty good spots, and he's straight into the difficult one. It's not worked out great, but he has promoted the ball he hit over the pocket. He's just got a slightly delicate next shot. Looks like he can just clip this one in. Should be able to control the white just about.
Played that a lot firmer than I thought he would. It's worked out well. He's got a nice angle to get himself up the middle of the table here, which is absolutely ideal. Put himself in the middle of the three yellows. Wide margin of error then.
Yeah, that's what you want to play for. Give yourself a choice of shots. And you can see from the fact he's sped up, these have just suddenly linked together really well.
Yeah, I don't think he could slow down enough to kind of guarantee or have a good chance for the 6 red. So he wants to speed up to make sure that he's got every chance maybe to get the next frame with a reverse clearance or maybe even a counter clearance. That's not the best. I actually think he went the wrong way about the final 3. Yeah, and it's going to really cost him. I just think if he'd gone when he went top right to go centre to go top left, I think the left centre was always last ball for me. And if he'd gone top left first and just gone on off the cushion and landed straight in top right, he was out. Now it was a slightly delicate shot, but it was the one I think that would have made it easier. No, you could have gone any which way about those 3, but it's just the way he went meant he had an awkward angle to get onto the 8 ball.
Going to be kicking himself though. That was a glorious chance to get it to 3-all. Would have been Callum breaking in the decider, so no guarantee he'd have got a shot, but at least he'd have put himself in contention.
Still feel like Callum's going to have to come up 1 shot here, just simply because those 2 reds together are awkward. And what's there, 120? Yeah, and he's going to take it on now, and that's fine. That's a match winner. That's over now, because if he'd stuck on those, then he would have left enough time maybe to Phil have a chance of something, but now he's got 4 unmissable balls. He won't even worry about the one on the left-hand side, or he shouldn't. He's probably going to play it, but he doesn't need to.
Really the only way that he could lose the match if he does play it and miss.
Yeah, he is not going to miss it though. He was perfect on it. You just can't help but play your natural pattern, even though, I mean, that was the right shot to make the clearance, but the only way he could lose the frame.
Time really ticking down, although of course Phil has only got the 1 ball, so still can't afford to miss. He's got enough time that he only needs to pot this ball to the bottom right-hand corner. If he pots that, he'll have enough time to run the clock down. Doesn't have to get perfect position. Does have to play it though, doesn't want a time foul obviously.
Yeah, and Phil will come forward to shake hands. It's definitely been Callum Singleton's day. The only player to play 4 matches, and he's won all 4 matches.